有没有一口？
好像不止一口，有好多口。
应该已经过出来了。怎么说？大闪毒药。
哎，恭喜 Konos。
那4猪，
这牢笼又出来了呀！随便防，
看一下这边滚筒再一滚，哇，这个 AOE 也是打得很足啊，没有打到13秒，甚至是不用再交这个毒药去耗血了。看一下这个炸弹塔过出来了吗？
好像憋出来了。
对，再交一个滚筒，要意思一下吗？毒药一毒，那么要恭喜到 Yakitori
成功的1穿3了，
顺便帮助队伍以这个2比0赢下了他们啊。 这边 nova 应该是要反打一波，看一下情况，没有自毒了，
防守费还是够的。
杨家猎人全部拉到了前面，接了一手冰冻，
时机很好。
大骷髅会不会往里走？
啊，少一小个。
是的，但是第2波家居进攻来了，
怎么办？
大皮卡憋出来了，
但是牢笼没了，会打
1下2下吗？2下很漂亮，
奶上了。
是的。 而这边的话有一个桥头的大骷髅的炸弹，全部炸干净，而且这个青龙很难解，青龙解不掉了，再接一手冰冻，青龙喷塔，恭喜 nova，
恭喜一下 nova， 在2v2当中2比0拿下了这一局，看一下谁的节奏更快。
这个火球怎么砸有点难砸了，这个暗夜女巫进塔了1下。 2下，那可能机会就不大了。
这样斩杀了。对，
火球斩杀。
恭喜一下 Red，
他被迫把房子下得非常靠前啊！强扶球，
对，
有没有东西挡？速地一砸，那这个球最少1下，1下。那这一波是 Red 最后的蹦迪，最后的倔强。
还有一个滚木哦，
这个是绝望毒药，恭喜
AU， 也要恭喜 nova， 是今天2比0拿下了整场比赛。
这一波铜骨球、火球但是野猪1下，最后半分钟这边最后2个猪，冰冻马上够费用，这一波怎么解？血滚，看一下左边这个猪没打到，但是地震。 震起来了！
恭喜一下 Buff Gaming！
半路要冲起来的话，看一下又跟了古龙哇，左边怎么办？炸弹兵是炸了一下，矿工这一波是要带走了，还有一个火球斩杀。
恭喜一下 Jack，
在赢下比赛的同时，
恭喜一下 Buff Gaming。
对，2比0战胜这个非常强劲的 Kicks。 看一下，先被点到的是天狗，然后暗夜女巫2个这个小蝙蝠都没有被跳掉，矿工又挖到了这个火枪，怎么说？要不要憋火球？要不要憋火球？要不要憋火球？
来了，
还是慢了一点。矿工给压力，接一个滚筒，火球一砸早了。那矿工
恭喜一下
Blizzard 也是拖到了最后的1v1，非常小心内侧桶跟外侧桶。这一波是没还是过出来了，而且左边家居1炮2炮，留给他人的时间不多了。5、4、3、2、1，恭喜 TTG！
恭喜！看一下谁的节奏更快。女枪来了。
这个火球怎么砸有点难砸了，这个暗夜女巫进塔了1下、2下，那可能机会就不大了。
天狗的一个优势还是非常大的。
是的，还建设到了1下，那2下，
大将斩杀了。
对，火球斩杀。
恭喜一下 Red！
就这个迫击炮拉了球之后，想要解掉球还是比较难的，尤其是有这个。
这波感觉有点难解，哎，这个团伙怎么下在脸上？
是气球，哇，还撞到了1下。
而且火枪跟骑士也受到了一个广域伤害。 沙朵防守炮下不下？沙朵有点卡费，还是
对他这个炮也不敢先交。看一下，这边羊跳左边了，炮一立，往中间一拉，但是这个后排
哇，这个炮车在锁炮。
对，而且这个还有一个绿色的东西，这个绿色东西会很厉害。
炮车锁塔了，这一波能直接打死啊！
3下、4下、5下、6下、7下。
心疼矿工5秒钟啊！劳模挖全场，
渔夫挡住了，再挡一个骑士，看吸谁？
这波手上是有大电。
闪避雷吗？没避到，差一点得接滚木啊！雪球一砸，滚木一交，看一下这个家居，第2炮，这个狙解不掉了。
这个狙可以，
这个狙已经解不掉了。
就刚刚那个第1个狙。
是的，那么恭喜到 Five Gaming 这边赢下了第1局。
矿工其实是看矿工的一个发挥
直接跟暗夜女巫也是没什么问题。看一下，先被点到的是天狗，然后暗夜女巫2个这个小蝙蝠都没有被跳掉，矿工又挖到了这个火枪，怎么说？要不要憋火球？要不要憋火球？要不要憋火球？
来了，火球
还是慢了一点，像桥头吗？矿工给压力，接一个滚筒，火球一砸早了，那矿工
恭喜一下
Blizzard。
Welcome to Clan Wars 2! Your journey begins here. And what the...
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt
As I was saying... Oh, wait! Hello? Everyone seems to have left. The king should never row himself. I'll just wait here, so send someone to get me.
这里要跳滚木斩杀吗？还是直接解救预判吗？
恭喜一下 NOVA。
마법들도 있고요. 파이어볼 만들어라. 네, 마무리됐습니다.
Still, the baby dragons are alive, and that's the ground roller.
他这个套式就进来。
好，拿到了3星。
恭喜 TDG 啊！
こう回して KK 選手勝ち切りました。
Be careful, but still, Cannon.
That tower was down so quickly.
再加一个滚墨，
斩杀了。
恭喜一下 WEGM。
2, and that's it. 3-0 grand final. Bob is your Clash Royale League East champion. Nova Esports.
타이밍간의 경기는 오히려 탈론이었다.
PTG.
となりました。
Hits against Game W.
優勝はハブゲーミング。
クラロワリーグイースト後半最終長期赛バーシーズン頑張ります。今シーズングイースト頑張ります。
ファイティング。
Welcome everyone to Clash Royale League East. My name is Simon. With me, as always, is G-Clef. Yesterday, we did unfortunately see Team Timing get completely eliminated. Even though they can join up on the overall score, they can get 5 and 9. Their set difference is just way too far ahead, way too far gone. They are unfortunately gone. What do you make of that?
During the season, they had their ups, but overall, especially the teams with less roster number, especially the teams with 4 members or 5 members, they were eventually broken through by the statistics, by the data. Lots of studies done by a lot of other teams. I think that costed a lot for Team Timing especially, and some other teams that are also at the bottom field, like TTG, who's actually playing Team Timing today.
Yeah,
The bottom 2 teams.
The bottom 2 teams are going head-to-head.
That's a heck of a match.
TTG can still make it, but they will need to win their last 2 games. Today's match is WEDGM Talon, TTG Timing, Kicks, Ponos. For Kicks to get second spot, they need to win every game. WEDGM need to win this to also possibly finish second. There are just so many different ways this can finish, but that could all change. If Nova win tomorrow against WEDGM, they are guaranteed second place. At the bottom, Vav can still drop, as can Talon, so they need 1 win each just to be able to make sure they qualify for the rest.
Lots of chances for that second place. Less of a chance to actually drop down, as we basically have the bottom 2, but TTG, they are not 100% out yet. They need to win all the remaining matches.
And for Talon and Vav to lose the rest of their matches. And that is the only possible way TTG can make it out. Their destiny is not in their own hands, but it does start today. They do need to beat Team Timing first up in that match 2 slot. WEDGM, though, they've had a bit of a turnaround this season. They've gone from basically bottom of the table and now looking possibly at getting second. A lot of things need to happen for that to happen, but what a turnaround for WEDGM.
Also Kicks, who was also down into 6th place, got up to number 3 here. Was Bob not as well as the other 2 teams who actually finished top 3 last season, our special season. Kronos was always on top forever. Nova did drop down to like middle grounds for a few weeks, and then up there in number 2 now. What's surprising to me is that the teams who have started really well, about like in top 4, who's actually, and a lot of those teams are at the bottom by the end of the season.
Yeah, Ponos cannot move from first place, so they are guaranteed to go Worlds. And the reason why second place is so important is that is the second seed. So teams are fighting for that second spot. They will get a guaranteed place 3rd and 4th. if they can make second. But this team, WEDGM, they need to win this. Talon also need to win. One more win will guarantee them playoff positions. And we can see 5th in the table for 2v2 standings. Line and One Crown. Expect to see them coming up real soon.
And if you don't know the format or the bracket for the playoff, we'll explain it to you guys again in 2 weeks after a week break. It's with the 4 teams that, except for the first 2 teams, the 4 teams, they do have a, not the round robin, they take a tournament format of losers and winners, and then we have the first place and second place already waiting in the next stage of that playoff. So it's quite complicated with just words, but you guys will understand very soon.
When there's a visual representation, it is much easier, but of course, this is the last weekend. They're going to be bringing their A-star pairings. Hire and Solomon against Line and One Crown. Everything is on the line for both these teams. Talon, as I said, they need to get this to confirm their playoff positions. WEDGM need this to start their attack for second place, because they're the team that has to play. They're the team that has to face Nova. So they're the team that can control Nova, Kicks, and WEDGM's fates all on their own. And Lava Hound, Giant Skeleton Band.
Well, Giant Skeleton is not a win condition, but it's a very good, helpful card that goes into lots of win condition as a pairing. RG, Lava, or Ram Rider, and you name it. Just takes care of most of the bridge spam.
Yeah, banning it out is smart if you're looking to play the bridge spammy kind of things with the Bandit, let's say. Battle Ram we haven't seen much, but I mean, that could come out. Royal Ghost maybe could come out in 2v2. We'll see what this has to bring. But Giant Skeleton and Lava Hound bans do make this interesting as Tornado makes it through.
Yeah, all spells available, with Lava Hound, Giant Skeleton being the bans. And one other combination that I thought was created was the Battle Ram with the bait, Battle Ram with the Goblin Barrel, forcing out some logs and buildings for the Ram Rider, and then you just throw those barrels.
Well, it might be Balloon from the side. Nope, not anymore. Okay, so maybe Graveyards. We'll see how it goes. Cannon Cart up front is going to get into the tower. No, Lumberjack is there. Maybe Balloon is on the cards for Talon.
Don't know exactly. Rage won't really do too much as we're still in the first minute.
Musketeer with that nerf will not take out both Skeleton Dragons. She would have done that before the update though. Would have taken at least one of them with her, but unfortunately no longer. Snowball comes in, Bomb Tower in the center. That's going to clean up all the recruits relatively nicely though. One does get through. A couple of hits coming in there.
Not a massive damage so far, and we've seen a lot more archers put into play, especially in 2v2 after the balance patch. And not just in 2v2, also in 1v1.
That and Mega Minion have kind of come out on top after Musketeer did get that nerf. We've seen a few times where Mega Minion would replace Musketeer in a deck. Let's see if that continues for the rest of today.
So it feels like from Talon, the Balloon, right, with the Lumberjack,
yeah,
with Rage, this many body on the ground.
It could be RG.
Yeah, some RG, maybe some more charges. I think that's okay, but too many on the ground could actually clump up.
One Skeleton Dragon does decide to connect into the tower. The other one focused on that Brawler, who does go down to the Lumberjack. Is this a timing for the Balloon? No, it is not. Musketeer is played in the center for WEDGM. And there is a Ram Rider from WEDGM.
The immediate lightning and the
Ram Rider
in this response from Talon also. It will not connect with that much snare. Both win conditions being that Ram Rider, but I imagine it can't be only Ram Riders.
Double ramp. Definitely possible. I mean, it is interesting that they both decide to go for this Ram Rider in this situation. That would be why you would clear out the Giant Skeleton so that it can get through. Poison comes down from WEDGM.
just to get more damage onto those recruits, plus the bomb tower. And Kanakar just used, again, as a defensive tool, not to sneak into the tower attack. The WDGM, they're relying heavily on that lightning to pair up with the Ram Rider.
Rider might find a way through here as Poison starts to take everything down, so WEDGM have to throw down
Battle Healer.
Their own, but almost getting the connection. And that's a card we have not seen outside of
Elixir
Golem decks.
And some challenges. And the cannon, ooh, pushed back with that log.
Yeah, Rage thrown down by WEDGM, but nothing really getting done there. I don't know if that was worth the investment of that 2 Elixir, but we'll see if they can break through and eventually drop down that Rage onto a proper push.
Yeah, last minute in this overtime. Still, we haven't. The attack is pretty. It's not that slow, but because of defensive snares and those logs, so far not being able to have those outputs from either side.
Talon might just break through here. This
the rare
Fisherman
by the Fisherman again and again.
Poison connects for Talon. Talon are getting a lot of damage done to that bottom right-hand tower. Rage comes in for WEDGM. They need to make this work, but it doesn't look like it will. The Battle Healer trying its hardest to keep that cannon card alive, but it's not going to work. It does go down.
This is a huge push with the Ram Rider now down to the right side. Ram Rider, and with the defensive snow, the cage does come, but the Poison is keep doing the damage. And even the left side is pretty clumped up with those recruits. Now the Dragons are connecting.
That is that. Talon do take game 1 of that 2v2. Just too much coming over the bridge, overwhelming the defenses of WEDGM. And that allows Lion and One Crown to take an early advantage here.
I think one big difference here wasn't the lightning, where both sides was able to use some of it. Delete some Musketeer, do some red damage to the Ram and also tower, but the Poison from Talon was just absolutely clutch, taking out multiple Musketeers, taking up more than that, so the value from those 2 Poison just used.
It's not just that as well, like bringing the Lumberjack over just the Rage spell that WEDGM board definitely added to that as well, because you have an extra body just cleaning up. You can see how quickly he chews through the Royal recruits. And it really does help. And when this Rage comes down, yes, nothing is going into the tower, but Poisons like that take out 2 Musketeers. That's a lot of Elixir value on that.
Yeah, plus 4 or more, because it did damage to the tower and the recruits, defensive recruits. And this was an okay defense, but what was the wave coming after that was a real problem.
I mean, look at the Elixir WEDGM have at that point. Everything's coming over the bridge, and WEDGM just had no Elixir to defend there.
And no Elixir also just put down the Rage, just to power up that tower and a few other troops next to it. I think the cycle was a little bit tougher for WEDGM. They wanted a Battle Healer with the cannon card combined together so that the card would push maybe a little further into the tower range, which never really happened because of that many recruits. I mean, double recruits from Talon. It's hard to get that cannon go through.
Yeah, well, we'll see what they decide to bring in game 2 here. It is really evident to see that that kind of deck would not work if Giant Skeleton was in the match. So with Giant Skeleton banned on the side of Talon, both teams decided to bring Rage Ram Rider, basically. One bringing Lumberjack instead of the Rage spell, one bringing the Rage spell. Do you think we're going to see the same for game 2? Do you think it's going to be another Ram Rider deck, or do you think they're going to take to the skies, go for Balloon Miner? Maybe they're going to go double barrel. What are you expecting game 2?
If one team is focusing too much from the bridge, like without the Giant Skeleton, it is very hard. So the building choice basically doesn't have to be, but I would say Bomb Tower is a big plus, especially against those recruits. But Graveyard is always a good combination. You don't have to. All you have to do is defend the bridge and go directly into the Graveyard, along with the freeze, which is not banned this time.
I do wonder if the ban of Giant Skeleton actually helped Talon in their training for this week, because they would be practicing without it, whereas WEDGM, they may have prepared Giant Skeleton decks all week because it's such a big part of the meta. So banning it out, maybe that's the first strike that Talon made in this matchup, but we will see. Talon 1 crown and line in red at the top, WED GM higher and Solomon in blue at the bottom.
I feel that it can be a strike, but not enough to have a massive impact because we've had some Giant Skeleton bans in the past. And the season has been a pretty long season, with 9 weeks already with that 2v2 play. The Giant Skeleton, with it, without it, feels like a tornado. Already, if you have it, you use it. If you don't have it, you don't have to use it.
I mean, Giant Skeleton in 2v2 does kind of limit space, so you'd prepare decks with it, like Giant Skeleton RG, Giant Skeleton Balloon, Giant Skeleton Graveyard. Now imagine you've spent all week practicing those 2v2s with Giant Skeleton to get here on the day, Giant Skeleton to be banned, and you're like, okay, we'll go to that one deck that we played a little bit, which was the Ram Rider. And then Talon have prepared a Ram Rider deck, but they're much better prepared for that matchup.
I always like the Giant Skeleton ban a little bit more than a straight Tornado ban, because these days in 2v2, in terms of pro play, we basically only see Tornado paired up with the Giant Skeleton for that death damage.
Yeah.
So banning out Giant Skeleton basically means less use of Tornado from all teams.
Well, Dark Prince 1 almost getting the connection. The Fisherman just pulling in time. And no damage getting done there. The Mega Knight played at the back for Talon. It is going to be jumping into those Royal recruits.
Not a bad idea. Here comes with the Graveyard, that is WDGM. Another Mega Knight at the bridge. Here comes the Tornado with the Fireball combination.
But again, everything is cleared up real nice, and now there's 2 Mega Knights coming down the lanes. One, that Ram Rider's trying to barge past the Mega Knight, does not manage and gets stuck in complete no man's land there.
What a defense. WDGM there. Mega Knight did serve his role. Also, Fisherman stopping the right side from connecting.
I mean, we have talked at length, G-Clef, about how Mega Knight Ram Rider is such a risky play because that Ram Rider can just get stuck behind the big bodies. You see a Fireball coming in to try and take that Musketeer off the board. Poison is down for Talon, though. That will help the defense of that Graveyard.
Yeah, but the left side Musketeer and the Dark Prince connect way too much damage, down to 695 already. And still the Baby Dragon is ongoing.
It was looking like a good defense there, but unfortunately it did crack and bend. Talon on the complete back foot. WEDGM controlling this one now.
Yes, they do need massive damage. On that Mega Knight, still finding lack of sources to get that down. Only a big body. They're good, only good exchanges to bring down their own Mega Knight. They don't have anything like the P.E.K.K.A, Mini P.E.K.K.A, any single target damage.
They do have the Lumberjack, which can rip through pretty much everything. Will this Ram Rider find a way to connect? She is now stuck behind that Mega Knight.
No NATO this time, only going to put down the cage, and the Brawler actually will finish most of that with ease.
If it doesn't, the Fireball will. It's looking bad for Talon right now. They could get this win. That will secure set 1 at the 2v2. But it is looking like WEDGM are going to take us to that game 3. Unless some kind of miracle happens here.
And the Heal Spirit does connect, but still not enough to go directly into the tower. Here comes the counter Graveyard push. And the Princess Tower still locked onto the Mega Knight. The Poison Fireball combination. I think we're just talking the remaining few spells.
Now the Graveyard thrown on top just for good measure. There's a NATO to finish it off. WEDGM to take game number 2. And we go to game 3.
Yep, Graveyard is always a safe choice. Even though their defense against some Mega Knight Ram Rider could have been hard. There were some timings, but they had lots of tools to go against those charges. And one was the cage, 2 Tornado just in case of a connection maybe happening.
And 3, Talon bought the perfect defense to a Ram Rider, their own Ram Riders, which is their Mega Knight. Again, just the Mega Knight is stuck there in the middle. The Ram Rider doesn't know whether to go left or right. She gets stuck. Eventually, she just comes to area damage that is hitting on the Mega Knight. Kind of unfortunate there for Talon, but WEDGM played it absolutely phenomenally. They played a very tight game this time round.
Of course, the win condition, even without the freeze, started with this defense.
I mean, this was the beginning of the end, really, for Talon.
They have already done
Fire.
a lot on the left with the Dark Prince and the Musketeer, which you did not get to see in the highlight. And another big card is the Fisherman, always killing those jump.
Yeah, just absorbing that leap damage. And look how much Elixir just survives the push from Talon and just converts into that big counter push. Poison comes down, Fireball, everything coming in. A second Graveyard even gets played. Tornado to finish off the tower. I mean, it was difficult there for Talon to kind of get anything going. Do you think they're going to go back to a Ram deck? Do you think they'll try it for a third time, or?
No, we go back to Graveyard versus Graveyard. Talon, they have to have some type of Graveyard deck ready, or they pull out their secret card. This could be their final 2v2 of the season.
Could be. It is pretty unlikely at this point. As you said, they do need just one win to secure that spot.
Expos.
With Lava Hound banned, though, you wouldn't bring it. It's too risky.
No, I actually still like it.
With double
with the Lava ban?
With double Expo, you're hoping kind of to run into something a bit more air-based. Because if it is Mega Knight Ram Rider against the Expos, you definitely favor the Mega Knight Ram Rider, right?
So you bring some P.E.K.K.A. or mini P.E.K.K.A. on your own with Inferno plus Tesla. So build Inferno on the left, Expo in the middle, Tesla on the right. Boom. And arrows just in case of a Scarmy.
G-Clef is incredibly tired. All right.
I'm just thinking the 2021 meta already, man. Not the spawner meta, it's actually Expo building meta with everything around it.
The SimCity meta. Archers coming out the back. Archers and Skeletons no longer mean Expo, but they are still a very key component of it. Could it be? I would assume not. There we go, Lumberjack. Okay, it is definitely not now. Prince played in the back.
Okay, never say never. But not this time.
It does look like Talon are going to go back with the Mega Knight Ram Rider.
I think they want to pretend it's a Ram Rider and bring a surprise balloon, which is quite late for the party, but you can pump everything up. Defensive poison.
Delivery as well, coming down there just to delay and clean up some of that back end, but that Mega Knight is still pretty healthy. One skeleton was on the tower, but it is cleaned up with the poison. Just about 500 damage done there.
Which is not too bad for WEDGM.
They did clean up every defensive unit that Talon had, so...
That's a big poke with the Brawler Fist. You just wait until those Electro stuff comes in.
Electro Giant, Electro Spirit, is that what you're talking about? Be interesting to see if they are adopted into the 2v2 meta, but there is an RG from Talon. You were saying that you wanted them to change it up, and it looks like they are going to change it up, and this RG is not going to get a hit on the tower at all. And a Graveyard comes in from WEDGM. Poison is down for Talon to try and defend this, but there are a lot of bodies. Cleaned up very nicely there by Talon. A couple of hits in from that Graveyard.
Only about 200 from that Graveyard because of defensive poison plus the Baby Dragon. Now there's that skeleton.
This RG
hitting in its way.
He's going to get another hit in here. Well,
Fisherman was supposed to drag the RG. Did fail because of that one skeleton. Did not even see that coming.
I think it was That's the Heal Spirit, but here we go. One shot with the Rage. Decent there. There's a Graveyard from WEDGM moving the aggression onto the other side. They're defending so much that Talon forced them to start dropping these Graveyards down on the left, and this one relatively successful. Fisherman will be wiped off the board. This Dark Prince might actually get a connection log. We'll see to that. Smart play right now by Talon, just drawing things to both sides.
As they are collecting elixirs for that big Mega Knight drop, if they need to. They would want to have another RG loaded on the left. But it depends. They might find the hole onto the right side. And again, WDM trying the same on the left with defensive poison, offensive poison at the same time.
The Brawler is going to survive. The Mega Knight is Talon, so they might try a push here. Mega Knight whiffing. There is the RG. It is under rage. Log comes in. Baby Dragon is providing air support. But a Goblin Cage will slow things down here. They do have an offensive poison, though. That's going to get more chip damage in for Talon. And that tower is very, very hurt right now. The Mega Knight push. Kind of sensing a little bit of desperation as we enter the last 30 seconds of the triple elixir period. But with Graveyard, you never know what's going to happen. One lucky Graveyard could turn things around.
Yeah, but without the freeze and defensive poison from Talon all the time, I think Talon is going to remain a little bit higher in this matchup.
They're currently only 300 ahead, so one slip in the defense in these last 10 seconds could prove vital. Offensive poison, defensive poisons played there. The Royal Giant just slowing things down at the bridge so it doesn't get across. It is currently going Talon's way by about 131. Talon do take that set 1 2v2. Give themselves a nice little lead in this match.
Like the fact that Talon basically had a promise in their 2v2 play saying, okay, if it's a Graveyard, just in case of a freeze, let's just have a defensive poison all the time, limiting its potential. And even after checking all cards, they kept on just having the same cycle because it was working, with maybe taking a few hundred damage off, not a significant. And if they can limit every single Graveyard with that play, then the cycle's okay. We're only taking a few hundred and we're doing more every single time.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's the power of double poison.
There it is. It was a Heal Spirit first, and then it was a Skeleton. So double distractions on that Fisherman. That is one of the problems of playing it very, very high up, is that it is easily distracted by some of the tools that you have at your disposal. The Graveyards just never really getting those big connections. Do you think one freeze would have changed that for the better for WEDGM?
Yes, I think Graveyard pairs up so well with the freeze, as I know we've been ourselves practicing some Graveyard decks for 2v2, and freeze, of course, pros at a different level, but freeze is one card that you just have to react. You just have to predict that it's coming every single time. Unless you have that prediction, you can be caught. And 1 single second from any of those skeletons from the Graveyard is going to be at least few hundred damage. And if you're caught literally with no elixir at that time, that's tower down.
It is indeed, but we are going to be moving on to set 2, King of the Hill. It has been a little shaky for WEDGM. They have been winning games, but not really as clean as I guess they would like to have. Most of the King of the Hills going 4 or 5 games. Higher coming in and saving the day instead of Solomon or Peas, things like that. Talon might just be able to close out the 2v2, the King of the Hill.
I think in terms of King of the Hill, WEDGM has an upper hand. Not if you think about WEDGM in the first round robin, not really. But in the recent times, in September, October, WEDGM, especially Solomon and Higher, doing so much better than before, like they were in the special season.
Well, you say that. Solomon was more of the carry in the beginning of the season. He did get a sweep against Nova in the first half, but the second half has been all Higher. second half of the season, he is, quick math here, 8-2 for the second half of the season in King of the Hill.
So in terms of meta, I think they are going to do better, but there's also a catch for Talon, and that's now in meta. It's the Expo, and that's Line, and that's also Blizzard, who's also loving to play that Expo and Motor decks. So we'll have to see what kind of decks they will actually bring out, because it is still very early in the new balance patch.
Yeah, Wonga coming out here. He is currently part of the 0% club, players who have 0% win rates in King of the Hill. He has lost to Hajime, Yuya, Mugi, Geralt, AUK, and Benzer. So the last time these two players met, Geralt did get the upper hand. Geralt has been a bit sporadic with his wins, sprinkling a couple of wins with a lot of losses. So we'll see how this goes on. Currently, Geralt is 6-11 in terms of King of the Hill.
Yes, both players is going out as the first all the time in the King of the Hill. Bringing a win to the team would be a lot less pressure for Solomon Higher, and also for Lime Blizzard. With these two teams, that we basically know who is going to play, but it has been always like that throughout the season.
Yeah, I do wonder what happened to Radish of WEDGM, because he did come on the scene. He did beat KK, but then lose to Reiki, and since then he has been noticeably absent.
He's Radish, so
maybe saving him for later?
Maybe for the playoff.
Don't forget, WEDGM are guaranteed to make the playoffs regardless of what happens. Talon still need one win to secure that playoff spot.
And WEDGM, for them to go up to second place, they needed to win this match with a 2-0 score. So that's already out the window.
Ooh.
By losing 2v2.
Just like that.
Yes.
Ouch.
But they're still in playoff.
Yeah, they're still in the playoffs. They're still guaranteed, I think, top 4. And they do hold the destiny of second place in their hands, as they will go against Nova Esports tomorrow. All right, so what do we have? It's going to be hard to say. We see the Royal Ghost spotting over that bridge. He was played at the back. Something a little, probably more bridge spammy for Wonga. Geralt maybe bringing Graveyard. There's a Baby Dragon, which semi-confirms that.
And with the Ghost, we've had some Royal Hogs. And Baby Dragon, Mega Minion, had some Graveyards. And Geralt did play a whole lot of Graveyards.
It's going to be RG from Wong. I was feeling it when that Fisherman came out. But the RG is shut down by the bomb tower very, very hard here. But the Hunter is going to clean everything else up. Not much of an advantage for Wonga, but a little bit. What are the last two cards on Geralt's side?
Graveyard Poison, as we're missing the win condition. Nice fireball.
Ghost currently standing in the river, getting his feet wet there. Here is the Graveyard from Geralt.
What do you mean the Ghost doesn't have feet?
Come on, man. All right.
The
Baby Dragon wasn't tanking, but this Mega Minion, 1 shot, 2 shots. Oh. That's kind of harsh on
Wonga
Wonga.
went safe with the placement for the Hunter.
Sometimes playing safe is not the best of ways to position your troops. RG played on the left now for Wonga, needing to move Geralt's attention from that right-hand side to the left just to give himself more of a chance. 1 RG shot does connect, and that's not going to be enough, but there's still 2 minutes of gameplay coming up.
Needs a lot more than just that. Healthy Knight. And Fisherman just going to the left side without hooking anything.
Yeah, we've seen this a few times this season, and I think that might just be tower down. Fisherman decided to go on a little bit of an adventure down that left-hand side doesn't decide to do his duties.
It's not tower down, but they'd have to take a lot more damage because of that play. I think that Fisherman was 1 or even 2 tiles down before, and a little too early. Rogo sometimes sneaks in and goes into the tower and do damage. Just like that.
2 shots. Mega Minion makes sure it's only 2 shots. Wonga leaking a little bit of elixir there, not sure where to go next. RG is played at the back, but he really does need to defend very strongly. And Geralt could just counterattack. He does have that window of opportunity. Now that everything has been played here, I think he's got enough to deal with this.
Just enough on the left.
Let's take 1 shot. There's the Baby Dragon. There's the Graveyard. The counterattack begins here. Bar Barrel to distract Fisherman. Hunter goes down. Fireball to try and clean up, but the Baby Dragon connects into the tower, and that might just be that. Heal Spirit to try and distract. Poison comes down. It is going to live a little bit longer, but there are 30 seconds left for Geralt to try and tie this up, and Wonga, RG, the Musketeer does decide to walk left. It isn't going to help on the defense.
But still RG is pretty low, and with the poison remaining tick, that's a game for Geralt.
Yeah, Geralt taking the victory.
Wanga's Fisherman just walking to the left was a huge moment. Even before that, he was down by about 400 or 500 damage on the tower.
And it happens to the best of them. We saw it happen to Elsiov just last week against Boss, where the Fisherman decides to just completely abandon post and do what he wants to do.
Sometimes when you are near full elixir, you want to waste less elixirs and place those units just a little ahead of time. I think that's what happened for Wanga. I think we have to look at the replay, but I think that's what happened.
Yeah, Graveyard coming in. I mean, this Mega Minion was near full health. It took a few shots there from the Hunter, but nothing major. He does get 2 swipes in, and that Fisherman going on an adventure. I don't think it was that Fisherman right there. I think it's the next one that comes out. But that Fireball was pretty good, but still damage coming in from those Graveyards.
Yeah, that Fireball I think only hit not the Baby Dragon, Mega Minion and Musketeer.
Bob Tower again, perfect timing, perfect positioning. Poison to finish it off. It almost looked a little bit too easy for Geralt at the beginning, but Wonga did set up. He did set himself up for a comeback, but unfortunately it wouldn't be enough. And Hire comes out. Hire has an amazing turnaround this season. He is currently 10-9 in King of the Hill, but a majority of those 9 losses came in the first half. As I said, he's only lost twice in the second half of the season. He swept TTG, he swept Kicks, and finished off Team Timing last week with 2 wins. And then when he gets into those 1v1s, he did defeat Expo Master 2-0 in the second half, and Sado 2-1 just last week.
Yeah, Hire is also a great 1v1 player in sets, so I don't doubt his play at all when it comes down to the playoff. One thing that does worry me is that with Solomon and with Whom on that spot, maybe it is actually Radish. They're preparing him for that specific spot for the best of 3.
I don't know. We just don't see him anymore. It would be nice to have him, I guess, but they have to get there. I mean, WEDGM have been relying very heavily on Hire this second half of the season. That is where all their comebacks have come from. We haven't seen Solomon in quite a while, actually.
We haven't seen Sia at all. We haven't seen Radish much after Ponos' match.
Of course, that Ponos match was a 0-2 loss, with Radish beating KK, losing to Reiki. Okay, so Hire coming up off the back of winning 2 against Team Timing and sweeping Kicks completely, where he beat Benzer, Yuya, then Light in a row. He does have 2 losses just before that, where he lost to Hajime of Fav Gaming and Reiki of Ponos. And just before that, for the second half, he did sweep Boss, Famous Kid, and Paradox. Can he sweep Talon? It's definitely within his skill level. We'll see as we enter game 2 of this King of the Hill Higher versus Geralt.
It's still up in the air because we're early into October patch. I'd like to see Higher playing some balloons. Back in the days, he loved playing that ice golem balloon.
Yeah, he has, during his win streak, he has played Balloon Mega Knight, he has played Minor Wall Breakers, he's played Ram Rider Recruits, he's played Hog Rider, but has been relying on that Ram Rider Recruits when he was going up against Sado. So Graveyard coming up here for Higher. Getting some damage in. Geralt trying to defend with the Babe Dragon, but it's not going to be enough.
Actually, a lot of damage with just the Graveyard here with that Inferno. Uh-oh. We have it, boys. We have it, ladies and gentlemen. Battle Healer actually on the tower by itself, so it doesn't provide the heal.
The reason it's on the tower on its own is because it floated over the side of the river. It was played on the left-hand corner and just decides to float straight into the tower, avoiding healing all the stuff that Geralt needed it to do. Graveyard is down. Inferno Dragon could get a connection in here. Nope, Tornado at the right time. Geralt doesn't have the elixir really to build the push in front of this.
Yeah, not yet before double elixir. And with that E-Drag, Higher actually has to...
Gonna activate the King Tower here.
Think a lot about the E-Drag because he doesn't really have the best tools to take that down. Most of the entire is just Archer.
Yeah, Inferno Dragon would do that if it wasn't for the reset ability of the Electro Dragon. Archer's played at the back. Barbhut played deep. That's going to try to eat up some of those Graveyard shots if a Graveyard does come in. Interesting Tornado there by Geralt, just bringing everything up front. Baby Dragon to help defend. Barb Barrel is going to clean up there. Poison comes down for Higher.
Pretty good poison, getting a lot of its worth on the Barbhut and the Barbarians.
Interestingly, Geralt does play that E-Golem right at the back. Usually we get to see it right up front on the bridge.
With all the dragons spawning first from the back.
Battle Healer going to float through the King Tower there. It's going to slowly make its way across the bridge. This time it is going to support the E-Golem as it comes in, but it's slowed down. It's not getting much done. Another Battle Healer, and it's not going to be enough. The E-Golem's gone. It's dead already.
The E-Golem's gone, but those dragons, see how well Higher takes care of him.
One Battle Healer does remain. Getting much heals now. It's going to eat two towers worth of damage there. And a counter Graveyard by Higher. This is an opportunity for him. Snowball just to push that E-Dragon back.
Ooh, but way too many skeletons from the King Tower side, connecting about 400 damage just now with that attack.
But now Geralt has a scary push coming through here. Will the Battle Healer continue to go to the tower? It kind of does. It is pulled in by a skeleton, but it's still going to go for that tower.
Knight in the middle to block, but one of the purple blob already attached to the Princess Tower. Now the Battle Healer goes in straight.
Yeah, the Battle Healer does manage to get a few hits, and another E-Golem is loaded, and this is just overwhelming Wonger. He has nothing left. The E-Golem doesn't decide to go for the bomb tower, and that looks like it's going to be that. It looks like it's going to be 2 wins for Geralt today. Higher does go down.
It's not the first time that Geralt brought that E-Golem.
It is not indeed. He bought it very early on when I think he beat Yuya with it. Yeah, he beat Yuya with it. He has also lost to Light with that deck. That was the last time we saw it the first half of the season against Kicks. Is E-Golem going to haunt our dreams again?
Maybe not. because we have a lot of magic archers. And still against the graveyard, one mega heavy push is actually really good. And in this case, and especially, I was talking a lot about the anti-air because without the musketeer, we see a lot of archers. And when you bring a bomb tower with that archer, it's just a lot less anti-defense, anti-air defense.
Yeah, it just wasn't good, and there was just too many of those E-Golems eventually. Like, you just keep loading them up at the bridge in double elixir time. Finally, this man steps up to the stage. Solomon makes his way game 3. Can Geralt complete the sweep here? Unexpected, to say the least, if he can complete it. Because he hasn't had the greatest of seasons.
Yeah, if Geralt actually gets a sweep, I would say it's one of the most unexpected sweep.
If he completes it, will you get a tattoo of his face on your neck?
No, I will not. I do not like tattoos at all. But if he gets it, I don't know what I'll do. I'll think about it in the future.
We'll give him his props, and that's about it. Okay, the last time we saw Solomon was against Fav Gaming. He did lose to Hajime, and just before that he lost to Mugi, but he did beat Reiki. So it has been a long time since we have seen him, so I need to just quickly find this. Last time out, he did play RG Hunter, he played Minor Wall Breakers, he played Graveyard with the Ewiz as well.
If he gets a sweep, it'll be an incredible day because we know Lion and Blizzard, they're just right behind him saying, okay, today's your day, go do your thing.
Let us take a day off. We're going to continue eating chicken and pizza in the
with all the delivery food that Talon loves to order. But will he play that E-Golem deck twice? It doesn't really work twice.
I mean, it kind of does. It can work as many times as you want as long as your opponent doesn't know it's coming. Because maybe Solomon is thinking that exact same thing. Maybe he's thinking, I won't play E-Golem twice. Geralt brings it again.
And then Solomon brings a Golem. How does that matchup go? E-Golem versus Golem? E-Golem wins, right?
It can overwhelm it. It's that overwhelming push where you just get E-Golem after E-Golem with a couple of battle healers behind it, one Electro Dragon, one Baby Dragon in the air, and
I know
Golem players struggle.
The things paired up with the Golem and paired up with the E-Golem does matter, all those other cards. Especially the E-Golem deck with the Rage, that destroys.
Yeah, well, we'll see what is going to happen in this one. We're making our way very shortly into game 3. I believe a timeout was called by WEDGM.
By Talon.
Oh, okay. I was kind of guessing there. I knew one was called because I saw you looking over at the announcement.
So I don't think WEDGM relies too heavily on those timeouts because their coach, their captain, are higher end Solomon themselves on the stage. So I don't think they need an extra advice, extra time before they're actually jumping into the game. They're player coach, basically.
Well, we'll see how that plays out as we go into game 3. Talon have a chance to close this out and confirm their playoff spot if Geralt can complete the sweep here against WEDGM. Solomon can, at best, take WEDGM for a victory, but cannot finish second after they did drop set 1 in the 2v2.
Fisherman, hello.
Abandoning
Hello.
duties again.
Yeah, probably with wall breakers.
Could be. There is mutiny on the ship, and the fisherman decides to ignore the miner. So Geralt's off to a pretty good start. With EQ coming down, though.
Ah.
Ooh. Lava Miner. RG going down the left-hand side. That is a nice window. There is some elixir there. Geralt does carry the Inferno Dragon with this. Is there a zap? Is there a lightning from Solomon? There is not. Some damage comes in. Here is the Night Witch.
Solomon has to decide.
That miner actually negatively affected Geralt there because it did allow the heal spirit to just connect and heal back that hunter.
So the hunter actually survived. But miner was supposed to snipe on it, so good read by Solomon there.
So a lot of damage has gone into Geralt's top left-hand tower from that RG. The barb from the barb barrel though is going to equalize the score. We're going to see Brawler versus Brawler. Solomon's Brawler will win this battle because under tower.
And Geralt waiting for a chance to put down that lava. Here we go on the right. It's behind the clock, so you couldn't see the spawn.
Baby Dragon getting 3 hits in here down on that left-hand side. If this goes down to a 2-tower game, that's going to give Geralt a little bit of an advantage here. Fisherman coming in, but not going to get much done. Fireball to take out that hunter. It is the miner, expertly played there. This time does finish that snipe. Another Night Witch spawn. And there are a lot of bats here to support. I think this might be tower down. There's a lot coming in. Delivery, though, is good. However, the pups survive. Fireball comes in. Baby Dragon's still there. It's tanking up.
But some of the pups not as powerful here. And a good catch again with that against the miner. The cage comes down.
The miner
So
did turn around.
limiting the damage going into the tower. Solomon starting to put in some extra with that EQ. Needs a open window for RG.
Geralt is probably just happy now. Spell cycling this one out and defending the left-hand side, but Miner is going to make it a little bit easier for him. As it is going to go down to 3-3-5. Here is the RG. This needs to work. Inferno Dragon is there. There is nothing really to go into and stop that Inferno Dragon. 3-3-1 remain. This is getting tight. Miner comes in. It is not captured. And a Fireball comes in, and that should be that. Oh, 19 hit points left. But the Inferno Dragon on the left-hand side. Tower down. Geralt completes a sweep. And Talon confirm their playoff hopes. They are going to the playoffs. WEDGM are also going to be there waiting for them. Talon get the sweep. Geralt, an unlikely sweep, but a sweep that has been deserved.
A sweep that not many of us actually expected. Yeah, and Blizzard comes behind. Blizzard comes right after match. He's like, you get whatever you want from the delivery this week. You deserve this. And now Talon joining the squad of the playoff squad. And I think we're just talking one more spot for the playoff now. Can Fav make it in there?
It's going to be between Fav and TTG, yeah. So that Fireball was pretty big. It did get a lot of damage in. The pups, a couple of scratches. It was getting a little bit close though. Solomon had a chance to snatch it from Geralt's fingertips. But unfortunately, he took too much damage from that Inferno Dragon on the left-hand side. Guys, that is that. MVP obviously going towards Geralt, who did complete that clean sweep. We'll be back after a very short break with match number 2 of the night, TTG versus Team Timing. Stay tuned. And welcome back to match number 2 of the night. It is going to be TTG versus Team Timing. Now, if Team Timing win, it is guaranteed that TTG and Team Timing are the teams eliminated from the league.
Yes. If so, Team Timing.
If Team Timing win,
they're the villains in this case.
Yeah, if they drag TTG with them, then you did it again, man. So if Team Timing win, TTG are going down with them. If TTG win, they have to win again tomorrow and hope FAV lose. And then TTG will qualify with a 6-8 score. And FAV would not because they'd be 5-9. FAV need to lose tomorrow.
Yes.
So it is still possible, but if it finishes even Stevens, both teams finish 5-9, let's say, TTG, FAV Gaming, TTG will be eliminated because their set score is
nowhere near.
They're currently -9 in set score. FAV Gaming are -1. That could possibly go up by 2 either way, so it is impossible for TTG, if the scores are tied at the end, for TTG to overcome FAV Gaming.
Yeah, TTG, they can go up to from -9, -5 is the best with the 2 remaining matches.
2 remaining matches, yeah, so they can go to -5. FAV only have 1 game left, which would put them at max -3.
Yeah, max, so it doesn't catch up to the set score. So that's the reason. Yeah, lots of explanation to do because of all set score, game score. But at least we don't have to go down to crown counts and all that good stuff.
Crown counts would be interesting, actually, because...
What if you actually go into head-to-head and then it doesn't work out, we have 1 game?
FAV Gaming, even though they're 6th, have the 3rd highest crown count. They have 55 crowns. The only 2 above them are Nova and Ponos at 66 and 67. That's insane to be this low with that higher crown count.
What would put them in the higher crown count? Just a
2 crowns, 3 crowns, yeah.
2 crown, 3 crown, 2v2? Were there lots of 2v2 matches? Or I think it lies to a lot of 1v1 games. Maybe just forcing more games to be played?
Well, I mean... But TTG, Timing coming up. TTG have been on a bit of a rebound, but is it going to be enough to take them into the playoffs? We'll be finding out. 4-8 versus 4-9. In terms of 2v2, Team Timing do have the better record, but in King of the Hill and 1v1, that belongs to TTG.
Yes, TTG has been getting some power up from the addition of Paradox in the team, but mainly it has been Numitsu and Hui for that 2v2. And Boss, including Boss, going into King of the Hill section, they had their core to keep their strength against all other teams.
Yeah, last time these 2 teams met, Timing and TTG, TTG did win, and I believe it was Paradox's debut where he got 1 win, 1 loss in the King of the Hill, and then 2-0'd Nuri in the best of 3 at the end. It is going to be Nuamisa and Hui coming out for TTG. I believe they did not play. Oh, no, they did.
They did, just...
Oh, no, it was the last time Nuamisa and Famous Kid were the ones who played against Team Timing, Greed and Sado. And that finished 2-1 in the favor of Nuamisa and Famous Kid. But now we're back to Nuamisa and Hui and Nuri Haruki coming out for Team Timing. Together they've had a bit of a decent run, haven't they?
The Naruki duo, I like it. I think it's also giving more focus for Greed and Sado to focus on 1v1 only, as Haruki hasn't really been showing that much of a result. And
the respect.
And it's a TTG win already. Just put those check marks.
The respect ban, Expo banned against Team Timing. Giant Skeleton out again. Which means we could see more Ram Riders. We could see a few more Graveyards coming in.
A lot more lava, I feel, especially from these 2 matchups.
Well, that would explain the Expo ban as well, that if you are going to be playing Lava Hound, he would rather not have to face the might of the Expo in 2v2. But we'll be getting into this one very, very shortly. It is Nuomisa and Huyi of TTG versus Nuri and Haruki of Team Timing.
Especially Team Timing has been coming out with creative combinations. And I've heard they are also trying some Lava Graveyard combination.
Now's as good a time as any to throw it out there. There is no pressure on this game for Team Timing whatsoever. And here is a Lava Hound from Nuomisu and Huyi, as expected with that Expo ban.
Relying heavily on air. As comes a Graveyard first.
Defensive poison
yes,
from
poison.
Nuomisa and Huyi. It's going to clean that up nicely.
So that seems like a pretty good timing attack from Team Timing. But actually from just one defensive poison from Dark Prince. Not a successful attack at all.
Yeah, both teams committing to an attack and both teams walking away pretty much with a bruised ego and not getting a lot done there. Skeleton cycled and the back, and Inferno Dragon cycled at the back on the side of TTG.
With ice.
Getting around to another Lava Hound, and Pekka with the Graveyard going down the right hand side. That's going to be very tricky to deal with. Cage is there, the Graveyard's getting stuff done. Spear Goblins play deep at the back. Baby Dragon trying to do what it can. Fisherman though is going to come and save the day, as it does protect against that Pekka. But again, nothing but bruised egos really, as the towers do not take much damage on either side of the fence.
I thought Team Timing was even going to spend a poison, which so far they have not with the two Graveyards. It has just been paired up with some body units going across the bridge, but no poison. I think it just means that it's going to be a freeze.
Possibly, they could just be delaying it a little bit, not wanting to overcommit and just trying to keep their defenses tight. Lightning does come down from TTG. That means the Lava Hound is very healthy, and they load up with another Lava Hound and Inferno Dragon behind it. But the Pekka trying to get here, and the double Inferno Dragons on the side of TTG is going to make light work of this. Pekka goes down, more damage coming in, but nothing major.
It's still just with the Graveyard winning the game. In this case, EU is coming down just for the Inferno to get that mini zap. Still Team Timing leading by about 145.
Loading up again with the Dark Prince and that Graveyard. The Graveyard's getting a little bit of damage, not too much done, but loading up with another Pekka, which means probably another Graveyard coming in here. They are just loading these Graveyards one after the other, after the other. There is the freeze. Log had just finished. There's an aggressive poison on the side of Team Timing. Tower activation by Skeleton with a Pekka connected will not, for 40 remains.
Certainly on the lead now. With a few more poison, this will be game over with some Graveyard Skeletons connecting. Just the Lava Hound for TTG on the left. You're not expecting much from that play. Comes the Lightning. So in about 300, but Tornado is going to bring everything together.
Yeah, the bomb is going to help clean that up, but how much damage are they going to take from the pups? Absolutely zero, and they are in the lead by just 1 hit point. Timing have it here. Poison comes down defensively to stop this Graveyard. Dark Prince is there, is tanking up the Princess. I believe another Graveyard was played on top of that, so once the poison expires, there's a freeze. One skeleton at the back, 2 skeletons at the back. It looks like that's going to be that. And Team Timing get game 1 here. And kind of start this off by saying, we're not just going to roll over and let you win. We're still going to fight for pride. Team Timing, Nuri and Haruki take game 1.
And Yomitsu Hui here, as the Lava did some damage. And they were relying heavily on those Lightning to do more pop connection. But because they don't have anything like the Miner, Either they had to connect some Dark Prince to go in or the Brawler. But because of this many graveyard pressure, the TTG, they had to save up their defensive poison all the time, even a snowball, spear goblins from the back. So the lava push was not as strong. And because it was always on the other side, lava did some damage, but with just lava, it's never really a power down.
Yeah, the pressure that Team Timing managed to put on just to distract and pull Elixir away from the Lava Hound push was exactly how you need to approach that matchup. Game 2 coming up real soon. Are you expecting more graveyard on the side of Team Timing? Because I am.
I would stay about the same for Team Timing, and for TTG maybe some more miners to some different combination of ground units to pair up with the lava, or just one lava with another wind condition. I think they relied too much on the lava only.
Yeah, Lava Loon can still work. Lava Miner would probably be a little bit better because you could use the Miner either for pressure or for sniping Musketeers, Ice Wizards, things like that. We've seen a lot of Hunter in 2v2 today since Musketeer got that change. So we'll see if that continues here. And a Miner to try and stop that is a little bit of a difficult battle because a Hunter turns around. It is good night.
Yeah, Hunter
Mr.
actually is a card that did not receive any sort of change, but just suddenly popped along with the Fisherman as a combination, and may actually be looking for. Do you think Hunter needs a nerf?
I think removing 2 pellets would make it more balanced.
2 pellets?
2 pellets.
2 pellets?
2 pellets a shot. I think its damage is good.
How much damage is that? Like maybe 60 less damage?
Something like that. Okay. Or just remove 1. It'd be fine. It'd be really good.
That make a difference?
But move 1 in the middle. Move one of the center ones, not one of the outsidey ones. There's a lot of ways that you could look at balancing Hunter, but what needs to be balanced now is TTG's gameplay, because they need to be able to outplay Team Timing to take Game 2 to keep their dreams of playoffs alive, and it is going to be Lava Hound from them. Team Timing, Nuri and Haruki, they're already out. Team Timing are already out of this, but they're playing for pride as we get into Game 2.
And Simon, we have basically the same combination from Team Timing, and so far 4 same cards from Game 1 for TTG.
Well, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Are TTG insane here? Trying to play this.
Maybe with some different spells. They did have lightning in the previous game too.
Yeah. There's the P.E.K.K.A. Inferno Dragon is there. The skeletons around it to just distract. Will the Hunter and Archers be able to delete this before? It looks like it will. That's a very healthy P.E.K.K.A. coming across the bridge. Hunter also is going to start trying to take out the Mega Minion.
Please for P.E.K.K.A. And the P.E.K.K.A's going. Ongoing. Here comes the strike. Second strike.
That's
and
filth.
You are out.
Avert your eyes, people. That is pure filth. But you can see it on Nuri's face. He's laughing. Absolutely no way that should happen in professional play.
Ship. You need to abandon the ship right now. Even the captain's gonna abandon the ship if that P.E.K.K.A. comes near you. Oh boy. Just freezing that play out was a nice move.
It was a great freeze. Real aggressive playing it this early on in the game, but yeah, what else could TTG do there? They're loading up. This is what we call the Desperation Lava Hound, where you load up 2 at the bridge and hope you can get something done. Hunter is there. The death damage from the bomb tower is good. Poisons are down 2. TTG just need to hold on. Both pops snowball to deal damage. Some of the pops are getting in and around that tower, but another Baby Dragon will close that out. And the Desperation Lava Hound is not going to be able to do it. And I don't think they've got enough time to load up one more attempt.
20 seconds left. That lava will barely get to touch the Princess Tower with not that many seconds left in this game anymore. Yep, I mean, they are pretty slow.
Yeah, there's nothing also to pop it either.
And even further back, pulled away from the tornado and froze to death with the timeout there. And the match goes to Team Timing.
What effect is that going to have on Nuamisa and Huyi moving forward? That was kind of
skull-breaking moment.
That's a morale breaker for sure. Like, you need to be winning your 2v2. We showed the stats earlier on. 80%, 88% of the time you win a 2v2, you win the whole match. Losing here puts TTG on the verge of an exit.
Yeah, those skeleton block against the Inferno was great, and also after the guards are gone, you know that the opponent doesn't really have that much ground unit anymore.
And there was no real elixir there either. The Hunter turns around to deal with the Baby Dragon as much as it could, but the main thing it was doing there, despite killing it, was slowing it down. It slowed it to an absolute grind. And the P.E.K.K.A survived to take a tower. How often do you see that?
Maybe...
That's the first time I can remember in CRL Asia and CRL East that a P.E.K.K.A completely wiped a tower on its own.
Completely wiping out, that's the first time. Getting a touch, I think maybe a second time in 2v2.
Oh no, like we've seen P.E.K.K.A get hits in 2v2 every now and then, but it's usually one strike and you're like, oh my god.
Oh,
like,
how can it even get a strike?
Yeah, this time round, TTG just collapsed. The 2v2 pairing of Nuamisa and Huyi just bent under the pressure that Team Timing were putting out. The freeze was fantastic on their part. In terms of aggression, that was as aggressive as you can be.
I won't be surprised if TTG calls for a timeout right now before going into King of the Hill, saying, guys, it's not okay, but don't panic.
I don't know if you need, it depends who you're putting out first. If you're putting out Nuamisa first on the side of TTG, 120%. You need a timeout. You need to talk to Nuamisa. You need to calm him down. Be like, look, man.
Hey, pass this back.
That was rough. That was rough. But we need you to win. We can see the King of the Hill player standings here. Neither TTG or Timing are in and around those top spots. They're generally sitting at around 50% or lower. Sado does have 56% win rate. Amazingly enough, 80-something% of those games have been graveyard. And it is going to be Paradox out first against Greed. Can Greed finally, in Team Timing's, I believe, last game of the season, can he escape the Zero win club?
The Zero. As today could be the day for the underdogs, especially with low win percentage 1v1 players.
Paradox has been kind of the shining light on a pretty dark TTG. He's got wins against Geralt and Line, he's been Rad and Mugi, but he has yet to complete a sweep on his own. I think a sweep would definitely help TTG because they do need this morale boost. Greed, on the other hand, has played the role of sacrificial lamb all season for Team Timing. He gets thrown out there, he loses.
But the thing is, we call him sacrificial lamb, but he's supposed to bring wins for the team. He's not supposed to be the sacrifice.
Yeah, he is supposed to get a win. Like, it's not in his contract that you will lose every game you play. I mean, he did all right in 2v2 when it was Greed and Sado. They threw out some tricky plays together. That was where we saw the clone. He looks shook.
And Greed sometimes, in the middle of the game makes some weird decisions, like switching lanes when he doesn't really have to, or towards the end, like the final 20 seconds where he would misplace one just by a tile, which cost him the game. We had a lot of moments like that during the season.
And we're gonna get into this one. TTG's Paradox against Team Timing's Greed. Paradox is currently 5-5 this season, going against Greed, who is 0-8.
And his last chance to escape that 0%.
With the Valkyrie, minor wall breakers.
Yes, we've seen those decks, and some Hog decks are out there with the Valkyrie.
It's a bit more old school, I would say, Valkyrie Hog Rider.
Yeah, with the Bowler, we've seen the Graveyard yesterday.
Yep, Splash Shard. What is Paradox bringing with that? Looks like Graveyard, possibly RG.
Uh-huh. Those two are the common combinations.
Lightning coming down. That was pretty aggressive on the side of Paradox.
Just to get that baby dragon to survive.
2 shots into the tower.
With that, then he will be in the lead. Immediate RG on the left.
Valkyrie is there to answer. Fisherman's going to pull it away, though. Freeze coming down from Greedy. We saw this yesterday where he plays a very interesting freeze. And it was the I think it was this Graveyard deck, actually, that he played yesterday.
Three shots, 3 RG shots directly in his face. So that's good enough for Paradox to lead. As Freeze will continue to march on forward, but that Freeze had to come down a little early, though.
Yep, the other card will be Nado and Graveyard for Greed, because this is the exact deck he played yesterday, and he did the exact same thing against Ice Law, where he threw a defensive freeze where he really did not need to. He could have dealt with it in other ways. With the Tornado, for example. And that RG looks like it's going to get across the tower, across the bridge, into the tower. 1 hit, almost 2.
Just 1 with the help of that Fisherman towards the end. And with E-Ways, Paradox, he has a lot of room, actually.
There's a freeze again.
Yep.
No Graveyard coming in at this moment.
Nado for the Bowler to line it up for maximum defense. Again, this RG.
Lightning takes out the Isis, which means the RG is going to get a couple more hits in here. 4-8-2. And the Graveyard finally comes down from Greed. Is he waiting on a freeze timing? He's not going to get the chance. That's a bit late. A couple of them are getting hits in. Heal Spirit's going to try to do a little bit of defense, but a couple of skeletons go on a wander.
Yeah, most of the skeletons defended by the units that were put down. And Paradox is looking to finish this with another Lightning.
Well,
will be just that.
You'd expect Greed to try and make this Graveyard be the all-or-nothing freeze. Needs to come down, but it's not going to be enough probably. There is the freeze. The Inferno Dragon has to be distracted. Again, a couple of skeletons getting hit, but I am assured that Lightning will be there in just 2 elixirs.
It's back in his hand now. Greed trying his best to defend that Lightning, but doesn't have any sort of goblins in that deck. It's mostly just 1 single unit.
Yeah, he could have defended that if he did have 1 extra unit. Something like a Goblin Gang would have helped easily handle that. But Paradox does take what can only be described as a very easy victory coming in here. I do question the freeze defenses on Greed's side. I feel like they were a little bit too much of an extension. Too much of a reach.
Like one first play with the freeze from yesterday was understandable. But bringing the exact same version of the game, a different version would be fine because you have less expectation, predictions from the opponent.
I mean, that RG just went to absolute town there. And I mean, this did start to work. The damage started to come in, but it was just far too little too late. You know that Paradox is just basically looking for a Lightning timing. He's looking to get back around to it. And maybe Paradox was playing with his food a little bit at this point. Icewiz Valk was there to try and eat those hits from the Lightning, but unfortunately, Greed goes out 0-9 on the season. And I believe that's the second season in a row. Let me just double check.
I think you're right.
He got a 1-game win last season in a 1v1 set that he...
Oh yes, I remember he was up to 7%.
8%.
8%.
8%. Unfortunately...
Let me just go off camera and come back a little bit. Back in a bit.
That'll be the end of Greed's season. But who have we got up next? Is it going to be Sado, Nuri, Haruki maybe in the 1v1? We'll be finding out along with you guys.
Hear the music, that's usually with the Chinese player on the stage.
There we go. It is going to be Paradox coming up here, obviously, as he did win game 1, and his opponent will be Sado. Okay, Graveyard. All right, how is Paradox going to beat Graveyard here?
With his own RG that he just played, or different versions, Zappy Graveyard, some Valkyrie Graveyards. There are some different versions just hanging around with the new patch now.
The last time these two met, Sado did manage to take down Paradox very early on, and he did it with the Graveyard, the basic Graveyard with the Baby Dragon Ice Wizard Bomb Tower.
With the Tornado?
With the NATO Poison, yes. Yes, that was the last time they met. In that game, Paradox played Mortar Skeleton Barrel Bait. Yeah, the Mortar Bait.
Sado has been going off the Mortar Graveyard.
You say that, he played one game where he
played a lot.
He played Ram Mega Knight against Islaw yesterday and got bopped.
All right, Mr. Sado Master.
And then against WEDGM, he played 5 times. He played in the 1v1 set with best of 3, and he played 2 games in the King of the Hill. All 5 games with Graveyard. All 5 games. What is he going to bring here? We'll find out. It looks like Paradox probably knows what he is up against here.
But a Barbaro Snowball combination for Paradox. Maybe the Graveyard Archer with the Knight.
Is there? Guessing could be RG.
Yeah, with the Knight, maybe not.
Well, there you go. It is going to be Graveyard coming down the left-hand side. Barbaro comes in to defend. Mega Minion is going to go down to the Ice Wizard. Some damage sneaking through on the corners there, but not a lot. 2,151 on that tower, whereas Paradox's towers are completely safe for now.
And the remaining 2 cards for Paradox. With E-Wizard, it's less of a common combo. 1 building and 1.
There's the Graveyard expecting the Tornado to come in to try and get that Baby Dragon damage in, but with the Mega Knight up front, it is not going to happen this time around. Just trying to make some breathing room for those skeletons, and breathing room they get. Yes, 1834.
Sado tried to put out some more Baby Dragon splash, but Ewiz did move out of that tile.
Some damage coming through for
good
Paradox.
snowball.
Yeah, good damage coming in on the back skeletons too. 1366. This is back and forth Graveyard versus Graveyard. 2 different variants, both with the same objectives.
And for Sado though, he has Tornado, which allows you to have another win condition. But Paradox, in knowing that he's going to be placing his units pretty far away from the tower.
Nothing to tank up. Naked Graveyard for Sado on the right-hand side, as he is pressuring down on the left, trying to catch Paradox unaware, but Paradox too good, not letting much come through. But there are quite a few bodies here.
Another graveyard can come.
Yeah, I think another graveyard will come on this left-hand side if Sado can deal with the Ewiz. He does not, so he decides to go for that naked graveyard again on the right. Mega Minion, though, getting a couple of swipes up on the top right tower of Sado. Paradox looks as though he's getting the upper hand in these exchanges as we enter sudden death period.
Because Paradox was able to do at least a couple more poison directly to tower. And put in at least 2 more poison compared to Sado.
Sado not leaking. Elixir drops the Ice Wizard in the back.
Sado tries it again because the Paradox pushing it towards the other way would seal the baby dragon. And that's another splash win condition with the tornado for Sado, but that's being locked up.
Another graveyard coming in on the left-hand side. Brawler's going to help defend with the Knight here. What's going to defend this graveyard? A couple of hits coming through at the front as the baby dragon is locked onto the Barbarian. Offensive poison comes down from Paradox. Is he going to be able to finish it in the next push after this?
He was doing so much for Paradox, surviving for like 25 seconds.
Poison graveyard against Mega Minion graveyard. Snowball to just push things around.
A few skeletons, that's too much damage, and Paradox put one more down for this man.
Paradox is playing for his team's life, and in the graveyard versus graveyard mirror matchup, he does come out on top. Sado goes down with another graveyard under his belt, making about 86% now, I believe. Absolutely insane amounts of graveyards played by Sado. Paradox is the victor, and he's going to go on to game 3. Can he complete the sweep here?
So I would have liked it more if Sado. I know we know that he has done more damage to the right, but because of the units and Paradox was going to continue attacking it to the left side only. So maybe switching into the left with more units to pair up could have been a better option for Sado.
I think it would have been a bit risky because I think in terms of counter pushability, Paradox's units had more chances to defend correctly and then continue forward, whereas I think he would have struggled a little bit, Sado, if he'd have switched lanes.
It's risky, but it also allows you to make a brilliant play with Tornado. And after that switch by Paradox, and because Sado just kept on going right, he could not use any more Tornado because he can't get any more Ice Wizards to pair up, no more Baby Dragon on the right side at all.
I mean, also you got to think that he threw down how many naked graveyards? 3?
At least 3.
It would have been better with a tank or at least something around it here. And we're going to get Nuri coming up in the last spot.
No surprise.
For Team Timing. Remember, Team Timing are fighting for pride, whereas TTG are fighting to keep their tournament hopes alive. If they can win here, they are one step closer for almost getting into the playoffs. They will need a little bit of luck on their side, but it's definitely possible.
As Nuri can certainly have his day, but this meta right now, as we're still in early parts of the new meta, if we're just watching his play and the decks that he likes to play, like the Balloon Miner decks, some giant pushing decks that he has shown for many seasons, I don't think this is the meta where it suits Nuri the best.
You say that though, but yesterday he went and almost swept kicks aside. He got the win against Ice Lord, the win against Benzer, did go down to light. He played Expo, he played Double Barrel. I mean, Nuri is pretty good with these decks that tend to shine at the beginning of a new meta, like the Expo, like the Double Barrel Bait. Things that never really change and are always consistent. There's no need to mess around with them. That is where Nuri tends to shine early on in a balance update.
And Paradox looking to strike potentially again with a similar type of graveyard deck.
Yeah, definitely possible to bring it again. I think you might try and switch to minor wall breakers though against Nuri. So we'll see what he's going to bring here. There's a couple of motes coming out. I'm surprised Nuri isn't throwing them back.
Snowball, was this a bait? That he's playing the same deck again. It's not with a log this time. Last time it was a Barbaro. Ice Wizard, Ice Bow from Nuri.
Well, we'll see what is going to come out of this one. It is Hog Rider from Paradox. Q there as well, activating the King Tower Nuri with that Tornado.
So, expecting Ice Graveyard from Nuri with that King Tower activated. That would limit lots of Hog Rider reaching for the first shot, with Cage being available. Paradox looking to cycle lots of EQ in this matchup.
Ice Wizard just to slow everything down. No Tornado, one hit from the Hog, 2 hits from the Hog. Nuri leaking some early damage against Paradox.
As the cycle is incredibly cheap from Paradox. Nuri can't really pair it up 100%.
RG for Nuri, played deep at the back.
Of course, went with the Mega Minion instead of Baby Dragon.
RG trundling along, nothing to support it yet. There we go, there's the Baby Dragon of Nuri. Lightning comes down. And that's a pretty healthy RG, but the log and the snowball slow it down just enough so it only gets the one shot into the tower. So Nuri holding onto his cage, waiting for the Hog to come down.
But the cycle is so much heavier for Nuri that he has to sort of have a better read against the Hog timing.
Another RG played deep at the back, just allowing him to build up and cycle around it. Will he be able to get another RG on the field as soon as this bomb tower dies? There is the Hog. Oh, look at that. The cage placed excellently there just to drag the Hog Rider completely to the opposite side of the arena.
And also to kill the EQ potential damage into the cage.
Snowball was pretty good there by Paradox, catching the Mega Minion. Probably expecting the RG to be in that position though.
And nothing too major, but with that lightning now.
Lightning changes everything. This RG is still going to town. It's going to even get one extra shot. 7-3-6 remain, and Paradox is in a world of hurt as we enter the last 1 minute and 40 seconds of the game. Paradox cycling that EQ into the King Tower, getting a little bit of damage on the Ice Wizard as well.
And Nuri off to a same exact cycle where he would look to get that lightning off the bomb tower. But these archers,
decent defense this time. Oh, Nuri brings his own lightning.
yeah, no damage from the RG this time, but the lightning damage connects. And Paradox has to cycle a couple more EQ. Always looking to hold that Hog Rider, but Cage is being in hand.
Tornado surely for Nuri here, bringing it all the way back. Slowing it down one more time, no damage coming in. 6-2-1, now 5-4-9. RG loaded at the bridge. Hog Rider's there, is it going to manage to get a hit? Cage does save the day this time for Nuri.
And Log this time, no, not enough for the lightning. Does come down for extra damage. Needs one more of that spell. Even putting a tornado down just in case of anything reaching down. Paradox, he needs one more and the EQ. There it is.
He's gonna get it. There's the snowball.
Oh,
Paradox.
the lightning comes down too.
Paradox sweeps through Team Timing.
We saw the lightning at the end, but right after the EQ tick. Wow.
Paradox absolutely bossing around Team Timing today. The team he made his debut against in CRL East. And putting to bed any kind of fears that we thought TTG were gonna have coming into this. They do need this victory, and Paradox is the man to keep them alive as we head to the 1v1 set. The question is it going to be Sato? Is it going to be Nuri? So here it's looking real good for Nuri. And then Boss just kind of takes the game by the horns ever so slightly. He starts to make sure these RGs get nothing done. The lightning came down, Snowball EQ. Nado for extra damage. And look at the way he defended that Mega Minion. He kept that
5,
around.
6. Snowballed it and lightning does come down. We actually see the lightning come down.
Half a second earlier, and we'd have been looking
like
at Nuri
0.1
getting,
second.
yeah.
0.1 second.
Wow. Nuri close, but no cigar this time round. And we're going to go to set 3, 1v1. Now, TTG, who are they going to put out? Because in the past, they've had this where someone is on a massive hot streak, and then Nuamisa comes into the 1v1, or Huyi comes into the 1v1.
Which wasn't too bad for Nuamisa.
Early in the season, sure, but later in the season, I mean, he kind of got found out. The second half of the season is 2 and 3, Nuamisa. And in terms of 1v1 sets, he's 1 and 2. Boss has a better rating at 2 and 1. And Paradox has a 100% win rate getting into the 1v1s, as he is 2 and 0 against Nuri from the last time these two teams played.
Maybe some chance of Boss getting some action in this set.
Yeah, he played really well last week. He definitely deserved, but it is going to be Paradox and Nuri. So continuing this matchup between the two, Nuri and Paradox are going to be coming out. Set 3, 1v1. What is Paradox going to bring this time round?
As it is the rematch of the matchup that just happened. Nuri won't be feeling too bad, as he basically got it down to a split-second win.
Yep, bit of the old rub of the green, as we say, for Paradox. They're getting that EQ down just slightly quicker than Nuri to finish the game. So Nuri would be in high spirits, knowing that he definitely has a very strong chance of finishing his season out strong. Paradox, on the other hand, he was on the back foot for so long and did overcome it. That can have one of two effects. It could boost him. He could be like, even when I'm getting beat down, I still have a chance to come in. But on the other hand, he could be like thinking overly critically of himself and being like, I shouldn't have been there. I shouldn't have been in that situation. I should have controlled the game a little bit better. I should have done this, should have done that. There are two types of players. There are two situations that Paradox's head could be at. And we're getting into game 1 of this 1v1. Paradox against Nuri.
Nuri bringing the snowball this time. Might be feeling some hog on his own. Or even some balloon decks, which he loves to play.
Is it going to be hog cycle again for Paradox?
The Inferno, it's looking like graveyard.
Yep, a couple of changes coming in, but there is the graveyard from Paradox. Poison does come down from Nuri. That's going to be quite nice, but this Inferno Dragon is very, very healthy. The Mega Minion's going to go down. Is it going to get a connection into the tower? Nuri has a lot to defend. Snowball pushes it back. So just a tickle and a second tickle coming in there.
Just getting the cage down. So the brawler would survive, and maybe Nuri's thinking about his own graveyard.
Yeah, with the Valkyrie placed at this time, I think he's expecting the Valkyrie to be up front. The Goblin Brawler is going to catch up. And then behind that, yeah, Mega Minion and then the Graveyard once this starts to get over the bridge. There's a Knight in the way. There is the Graveyard. Snowball to try and push things around. The Mega Minion this time is going to manage to take it out. The Valkyrie survives.
Pretty good catch.
Brawler's there as well.
Still surviving. This is bad news on tower down for Paradox.
Yeah, throws out the Laughing King emote here. Nothing he can really do about that. That was expertly played by Nuri. The timing to have the cage down, then the Valkyrie to come out, so everything kind of clumps in the right spots. Beautiful play by Nuri, and Paradox knows it too. Snowball again, just pushing the Inferno Dragon into that Mega Minion.
And massive comeback by Nuri with the Valkyrie choice.
Yeah, smart decision playing it with the Valkyrie. It has made life hard. Will Nuri decide to go for another Graveyard here? Oh, wait, he plays his own Graveyard.
Yeah, he plays his own Graveyard. And on his end,
okay, Nuri...
defensive Graveyard is new meta.
It's not even a defensive Graveyard, it was against nothing. You can see the smile on Paradox's face. Paradox is the kind of player who actually seems to enjoy these kind of clowny interactions. So Nuri takes game one, and at the end throws down a bit of a BM Graveyard, but nothing too major. Interesting game. Nuri managed it in one gigantic push across the bridge that he built up, starting with that Goblin Cage in the top corner. Then a Valkyrie play behind the King Tower. And as everything starts to move up, he just makes it look better and better and better. Sure, the Barbarian Barrel comes and takes things out, but the Brawler turns around.
Snowball was incredible, delaying that Inferno.
And just buying time too. And this Valkyrie and the Brawler. And I mean, what can you do when you're Paradox in this situation? You don't want to waste elixir trying to push it back and trying to defend when that tower is already going to go down. But I mean, you're sitting there on you're going up to 5 elixir and all that's there, and you're like, if only I had a fireball.
Oh yes. And I think in this case, Nuri had better setup for his own Graveyard. And that Snowball was the key, delaying a lot of those units with low HP. They could have been brought down. The Archers, the Brawler, and the Valkyrie also. Without that Snowball, I think at least the Valkyrie would have gone down. At least not leading it to a tower death immediately like that.
100%. The Snowball was it was a perfect extension. Like, he didn't overextend. He put everything he needed to get that tower down. Will he be able to do the same in Game 2 and dash the hopes of TTG possibly getting through to playoffs? It is a tall order for them to do it, but TTG need to win against Team Timing in order to make it a reality. If they do lose, the dream is over. They cannot qualify for playoffs.
And all they can do is just sit back, relax, and watch the matches at home. They have put the faith of the team into Paradox.
They have indeed. A lot of pressure has been put on Paradox since he joined this team, and fair play to him, it is his first season in CRL, and he has 100% stepped up to the plate for TTG. He has a great record. He's currently, 8-5 in King of the Hill, and in terms of 1v1, he's 2-1, and he's played the same player twice. He played Nuri the first time round on his debut in this 1v1 set where he won 2-0. Second time round in what could be the last time we see these two teams knock each other out. Could he get the win again?
It will all depend on this potential match point. And Hog Rider for Nuri
Does have the cage.
have Tornado or some other tool.
I don't know why, but I've seen so much Knight and then a Graveyard played that whenever I hear a Knight sound in my head, I hear the Graveyard sound. That's how much Knight Graveyard we have seen this season.
Knight actually in a really good place in the meta, as the Ice Golem is nowhere out there.
Snowball there just to make sure that everything does go down. Hog Rider walking into a clear lane, and the EQ is good from Nuri. Perfect read of that situation, and does get one hit into the tower. The Brawler is going to get into the tower unless something else comes down. All right, maybe done.
Yeah, too much muscles. You can't sprint anymore.
Give him a little bit more speed. Literally the fastest unit in the game. All right, so Knight Archers played at the bridge. Snowball Log will defeat that. A little bit of extra damage getting into the tower as well.
And Nuri with big clutch. I think he can just EQ right. He's actually going to miss the EQ and just use it on the left.
Didn't get it into the tower, but 2 hits from the Hog Rider again, and both towers are kind of equal. Expecting Graveyard to come in there. Bomb tower played up high. Skeletons there to try and do what they can. Poison comes down from Paradox. Damage is getting into the tower, but it's only spell damage. Not going to be able to get a critical hit this time round. He's going to have to try and engineer a situation where the Archers and the Knight are not going to be there.
No Hog. I thought that was the Hog timing, either to the left or the right. No, actually waits for the Knight and then use the Hog Rider, expecting the Graveyard.
The one problem Nuri has, and it's a very small problem, those EQs against those high Goblin cages are not connecting into the tower, and that might come back to haunt him later on as these Skeletons are up in the tower's business, but that Hog Rider gets a lot more hits in 8:18 remaining against 12:38. Expect to see another Graveyard loaded relatively soon on Paradox's side. He needs to push. He needs to get it done, because over time the Hog EQ is just going to outplay this Graveyard.
It will be much faster to finish the game. So Paradox needs to wait and look for perfect Graveyard time. He's just going to put one big push.
Poison comes down. Can these Graveyard? Both Archers actually getting poisoned away. Snowball has to come down. Hog Rider is going to be denied by the Skeletons and the Princess Tower, and that's going to be a very healthy Brawler crossing the bridge.
There's Nuri looking to finish this out with some EQ cycle on his own. Paradox needs more of a cycle and some response.
Skeletons there. Cage is there too. No poison this time round, so the Archers are going to survive that. Another EQ comes down, and late poison coming in from Paradox, trying to open up a window where that Brawler can get in and around that tower, but it's not going to happen. 2:18 remains. Little over an EQ, so this needs to be a near perfect defense of the Graveyard, but he doesn't have it, but there it goes.
A close one, but Nuri does bring the victory, and Team Timing is going to drag TTG down to the bottom.
That dashes the hopes. As you said, TTG can no longer qualify to playoffs. Nuri getting revenge for the last time these two players met in a 1v1 set, which was Paradox's debut. Nuri making it look oh so easy there.
So does this give automatic green light for Fog into... Because TTG has lost the match, it's automatic playoff for Fog Gaming already.
Yes. So everything has been decided at the bottom. The top is still to be determined.
Yeah,
also seedings into the playoffs. But the Hogs, I mean, the pressure was just too much, and the Archers surviving for so long at the back. I think there was, yeah, the late, super late poison coming in.
Yeah, because Paradox also had to put cage for the Hog.
The pressure Nuri applied, you know, the butterfly effect. The pressure applied by Nuri caused just everything to collapse on the side of Paradox. MVP goes to Nuri, 4-1 on the day, 4 crowns. We will be back after a very short break with today's last game, Kicks versus Ponos. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone. We just saw the second team failing to make the playoffs, which is TTG. So that means Team Timing and TTG are no longer able to qualify for playoffs no matter what happens, which means Fav Gaming do avoid the cut because they were the only team. Talon 2, no, could Talon? No, Talon won, right? Yeah, Talon was safe. So only Fav Gaming were the team that could have gone down, but all that is laid to bed, which means Fav, Talon, WEDGM, Kix, Nova, and Ponos will be in the playoffs. There is one other thing to decide, and that is who is getting that second place spot, guaranteeing World Finals.
Yes.
Will it be Nova? Will it be Kix? We'll find out. If Kix can beat Ponos now, there's still a chance for change.
Yes.
If Kix go down, Nova guaranteed second place.
And tomorrow, then if Kix loses, then tomorrow's matches will be up to the seeding in the middle ground, basically. No big changes of who's actually going into the second stage of the playoff. And because we already have the bottom two teams already. Big moment for Kix as they're up for the hardest match, the toughest match, near impossible match. But it's totally possible. Do you think Ponos is going to go full out again?
Yes.
Or
100%. There was that the last time they took their foot off the gas, they lost to Nova.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. They're going to have to. I mean, was it Nova who beat them? Yeah, it was. They took their foot.
Week.
They took their foot off the gas. One time.
Had no Mugi.
One time. And they lose. And I think that was just like, all right, well, now now we have mortal numbers. We're 11-2 at the season. You know, we're showing that we're human. Let's go back to being good. Kix have got a huge challenge ahead of them. We saw yesterday Icelaw coming into that 1v1 slot, which was a blast from the past because he did real well. Will he come in again today to try and shake things up?
Maybe. I think the 2v2 pairing will give us a lot of hints about that King of the Hill roster for both of the sides. As Ponos, they were also having some Yakitori pair.
Yeah, I think in terms of 2v2, who are you going to put out there as Kix? They have a 42% win rate. Most of that comes from Icelaw and Light. But they're going against Ponos, and look at that, 69% win rate in 2v2, 69% rate, King of the Hill, 100% win rate if they ever go to that third and final slot.
Yeah, also the last match of the season, of the regular season for Ponos. So they would love to have the win, and likely scenario, Kix might face against them again in the playoff. There's a not very high, but some chance.
Yeah, there is more than some. There is a very strong chance that they'll play against each other. Kix, look at that 48% win rate for Icelaw and Light. That's who I'm expecting to see here. I think it's two. Ooh, okay. So Light and Yuya against Rad and Reiki. This wasn't what I was expecting at all, especially from Kix. I thought they'd have gone back to Icelaw and Light. Does this mean that Icelaw come out in the 1v1?
I would imagine. I think Kix is going to try the same thing they did yesterday to get 3 in a row victory, and someone's got a haircut.
Yeah, that is a fresh haircut there for Light. Will it bring new powers, or will it be the source of his power? And it starts to go down. Graveyard ban from Kix. Tornado ban from Ponos.
A Graveyard makes sense, as Ponos Graveyard freeze brought maybe 70% of their wins this entire 2v2. What are you thinking?
I'm wondering if Ponos are kind of just practicing for Worlds now, knowing that the West still favors banning Tornado.
No, I don't think they are stretching that far already. They also have lots of practice time after the season.
Yeah, but I mean, what's better to practice than in a competitive tournament like this? You know, practice tests are useless. They don't replicate test conditions. This is test conditions. We'll see what happens. Radom Reiki for Ponos in red at the top. Light and Yuya in blue at the bottom. Graveyard and Tornado are your bands. And both teams just kind of feeling each other out a little bit at the beginning.
If that snowball came down a little earlier, I think that Ice Spirit connected. That's another 91 damage.
Got the lock damage into. Oh, there's
expert analysis. Tesla. And we have Ice Spirit. What does this mean?
No. No, I cannot. If it is, they might be at a very strong disadvantage. If it is going to be the Expo, the Valkyrie, that kind of puts that to bed a little bit.
Not totally though. With double Tesla.
There's going to be double barrel on the side of Reiki and Rad.
Is it just a double barrel, but with something else? In this case, Graveyard is gone. We've seen the barrels with, was it RG?
Yeah, we did see RG the other day.
Double log.
Oh, the timing. That log is absolute.
What?
That is dirty timing on that log, catching both the Goblin barrel and the Skeleton barrel. Fireball to, you know, just make it fair.
That's fine. That's fine. Because that was with the snowball too. So no connections whatsoever from those barrels.
Just snowball damage into each of Kix's towers. So they'll come in.
It has to be, right?
No, I think they're just deciding to shut up shop. As a rocket log comes in.
Is this the old rocket? Oh, the ghost. You need something else for the ghost to activate the Tesla. Well, we've had a long time ago just defensive decks with rocket damage only, but it's not as powerful with the spell changes.
Ooh, the Skeleton Dragon gets a couple of hits in there. Tesla is going to pop up again to drag that over. And it is Expo on the side of Kix. They're going to find some way of getting damage in. They have to use Skeletons and the Knight there to defend that, so some damage does sneak through. Ewiz as well coming down. How are they going to get aggressive with this? I don't think they will. I think they'll just continue to play defensive Expos and rely on not doing that, not getting the splash damage in from that Skeleton Dragon.
Bomb Tower is there to soak those arrows from the Expo, and the Tesla now placed aggressively with the Mega Knight. Oh, this makes it worse.
Set of barrels coming out. Ewiz Skeletons coming down.
One stab. So not too bad.
Yeah, at least they defend the Mega Knight real well. Doesn't get anywhere near the towers. But they're going to struggle to get damage in. They're going to have to rely on the fireballs and rockets, I think, from here on out.
And the Royal Ghost is pulling at least one or two more cards out from Kix. So that's another pain in the butt for them. The Kix, they're not expecting too much from this Expo. As the Mega Knight is...
Oh, Kix just double locked the same barrel. So they have to fireball here, and now they're gonna struggle to defend. Slight lapse in communication there on the side of Kix, as both of them decide to try and log the same thing. Rocket cycle begins. There are 30 seconds left. Oh, set of stabs coming in as well, and the skeleton barrel damage. It's starting to fall apart at the seams on the side of Kix. They need to start getting more damage in.
Yes, the Tesla does come, but stabs come through. Less than 1,000 now, about the same. Okay. Will the rocket come for Kix?
Gotta defend that first, and they do. But that's it. They don't have anything quick enough. Ponos do take it. And a momentary lapse of judgment, I think, is what gives Ponos the win more than Kicks' team.
I think the double log actually cost them the game.
I don't know
In this case, without the double log, I think they had one more log on the right, which actually got a good stab, a triple stab.
I don't think it cost them, but it put them in a very, very tight spot. Like, I don't think that was the straw that broke the camel's back, but it was the straw just before the straw that broke the camel's back. Yeah, they'd have been able to defend that, I think, a little bit easier. I mean, they were doing so well without playing the Expos. I think they should have continued not playing the Expo. This is the double log. Pow.
Yeah,
So
exactly at the same time. And then Fireball.
To be fair, they took no damage from that, so it was a momentary discomfort, but I think that was the straw before the straw that broke the camel's back. I just think, in terms of pressure, Ponos had more pressure coming down. The Expos never really caused a reaction to come out of Ponos. They never really overly panicked. They never really had to worry. There were so many big bodies on their side of the field. So I think it was just a combination of all those things. It wasn't just the spell, the double log there. It was also the fact that each of those Expos were pretty much useless. They were completely wasted.
Yeah, just taking down the bomb tower, and usually it connected into the Mega Knight right after. That was the combo for Ponos to actually block those shots. Maybe just cycling through more rockets instead of Expo could have been better. And Ponos actually started to build up a push from near bridge because of that rocket potential, always taking out some of those units, along with doing that massive damage into the Princess Tower.
My guess is going to be the reason why we saw Expo from Kicks is with the NATO and the Graveyard ban, they were expecting Ponos to take to the skies. They were expecting maybe Lava Loon or something a bit more aerial so they could exploit that with the Expos. Because we have seen Ponos do that. They do take to the sky when Graveyard gets banned. This time subverting those expectations gave them a win. Because they were able to easily handle what Kicks had bought. Game 2 though is a completely different story. We're going to see what is going to happen here. Is it going to be another Expo game? Is it going to be Lava Hound? Are we going to see all kinds of crazy stuff? We'll find out relatively soon.
You keep the Expo thinking that they can still bring Lava Hound. Or does Kicks, do they go back to their Wallbreaker Miner deck? Which actually did work yesterday with that cheap cycle.
He's going to play at the bridge.
Again, Graveyard is banned. Yeah, with Fisherman. And Skeleton Hog Rider.
Yeah, it's probably going to work. The Fisherman's going to try and pull it in. He hasn't taken... Oh, that freeze.
Oh.
Stops the King Tower activation, but Kicks are overpowering the lanes right now. Will they be able to get a lot of damage in?
This will be still a lot of damage just from that freeze.
And just from the Musketeer, actually. Kicks maybe going to take a tower here. Very, very close. 800 to 1004. And yeah, Ponos have done next to no damage right now. Magic Archer is just going to make it even harder for Ponos to defend.
And Kicks expecting a bridge clumped up.
Wait.
What? It goes straight in through the two. I've never seen
So
that.
do we consider the Magic Archer to just have scored a goal? Because that went right between the goalposts.
I actually have never seen that.
I didn't know it was possible. I thought it was one chunk. Well.
Wow.
Kicks currently winning 1-0 as they put one right between the posts.
Whoa, here.
Okay, so the Ram Rider is gonna be coming up down the right-hand side. That's gonna make the Giant Skeleton's life a little bit more difficult. But with the Fisherman pulling it across, is the Ram Rider gonna do it? Tower does get played in front. EQ comes in.
For extra spell damage or extra Magic Archer potential.
I mean, life is just getting a lot harder on the side of Ponos. They can still win it. They're not 100% out, but it's going to be difficult. Hog Rider tries to burst through the scenes, but Bomb Tower is there to tidy that up.
The second hog will be shut down by the Ram Snare. So that's going to be a good pair of defense for Kicks. Yeah, but after the Snare, Hog Rider gets a hit.
Yeah, but the EQs can just cycle much quicker on that top left-hand side. I do wonder what the last 3 cards are on the side of Kicks. I don't know if we're going to see them at all. Hog Rider coming in. That's quite a bit coming down the lane. But delivery is the last one on the side of Light.
Another good option. Kicks, all they're waiting for is Log EQ on the left dude. Maybe a Heal Spirit to finish it up.
Fireball will do it with the EQ as well. And that is that. Game over. Game 2 does go the way of Kicks.
Yeah, we're both amazed from that Magic Archer shot not activating, because that play was also made by Ponos.
Yeah.
They were also expecting to activate the King Tower with that angle, but it just goes through. That's gonna be the highlight for the day for me.
It was very interesting. It's the first time I think I've ever seen it. This was real nice from Ponos, very tricky. But they never really used the freeze again after that.
They couldn't.
Yeah, there was just too much pressure, and that was a lot of bodies coming over.
Yeah, the EU is having the zap on that bomb tower allowed a lot more bodies to survive.
I didn't realize they had exactly 0. I didn't look up at the elixir there, but exactly 0 on both players. It's a bit rough. We don't get to see the parting of the seas, but it's perfectly fine. The EQ did finish it up. Okay, during that, I was crunching a few numbers. Kicks can afford to lose 1 and win 1 of their last 2 games. That relies on Nova losing, and they have to go to set score. So the best way they can continue is to 2-0 Ponos. And that's a task.
So they have to get the 2v2 first, and the King of the Hill. 2v2, it seems like it's possible.
But I mean, they'd have to then win the King of the Hill. Ponos have called a timeout, as they tend to do when they lose a 2v2 match. I mean, that one was very much Kicks' control. I don't think they ever looked out of place. I don't think they ever looked under threat of losing that one. Beginning to end, it was their game.
And the combination to pull through, it was just way too much damage. With the first attack, right after the Hog freeze, I imagine Ponos wanted...
It was a little bit too much of an overextension, right?
That early game, that's a lot of elixirs to just use, because right before that, they also used the Giant Skeleton.
Yep.
I believe.
Just rough for Ponos. But game 3 will be upon us. Are we going to go back to Expo? Are we going to get more Hog EQ? Are we going to see something even trickier? Are we going to go back to RGs?
For Kicks, I think Ram is actually safe to maybe pull it again against potentials like Balloon.
You're right. Without Mega Knight Graveyard, which would be the one biggest issue you'd run into with a Ram Rider, I think it could work again, yeah.
I think Ram is actually a safe choice. And Kicks, they had Ram EQ as a combo, which is a combo that I really like with the Graveyard ban. against most of the air attacks, it's gonna provide some snare. And even against Fate, it's not as bad when they have a lot of spells on their own. I guess Fate won't be as good, but against a lot of other meta decks like RG.
Could we see something incredibly tricky and see double golem play in 2v2?
Play double golem and lose 2 towers. On your side.
I remember where 2v2 was all double golems for a little bit, because nobody really understood the intricacies of 2v2. Back then, a lot of people considered it kind of jokey.
I think back then we sort of, okay, let's put maximum amount of elixir with just one big push and see who brings some better combination or better spell usage.
I think Ponos is going to go Lava Hand this time.
And Kix is going to catch him off exactly with that expo.
No, that's not going to happen. All right, game 3 is upon us. Set 1, game 3 between these two teams. Light and Yuya managed to claw a game back from Ponos, Rad, and Reiki. Let's see who is going to win this. It's 1 game apiece. This is the deciding game.
We see the Ice Spirit and the log. Not sold yet, Simon?
I don't want to be sold on it yet. The question is, what have Ponos brought to this match?
I think Ponos would love to keep the giant skeleton. And with double Seal Spirit Eye. Still leaning towards a lot more RG.
Could be Lumberloon and like a slight odd mix up here, but we'll see what happens. Double Lumberjack, and it is the Lumberloon. And with the Tesla, that's going to make it a little bit easier to defend, but not the greatest. Ice Spirit is also going to play its part there. No damage done.
Yeah, Tesla is a great defensive. One card that's going to get that balloon. Sometimes you do have to be careful with the drag. But yeah, Kicks, they're going to have double Tesla.
Double Tesla, double Expo if they need it. Playing Expo against the balloon though, like to try and pull the balloon, always feels a little bit waste.
And even against the Lumberjack Kicks, they do have a lot of skeletons and knight. Ice Spirits to defend cycle so quickly throughout their hand. So it will be up to lots of offensive log, offensive snowball from Ponos if they can get those predictions on point.
Catch the Lumberjack and no connection. Recruits coming in though. That's going to make life really difficult here on the side of Kicks, and it is double balloon. Defending one on the right means they can't defend on the left. Oh. How?
Bounces off.
How? That's insanity. How do they not take damage from that? A great fireball to push the balloon back into another Tesla. That is insane. Also, that Tesla was Yuya's. He did that with 8 elixir. He did it on his own. Didn't need to rely on light to get that play in. Another balloon loaded up, this time on the left.
Yeah, pretty good fireball there. Depends on the heal spirit.
Does get the Ewis doesn't get that final shot. So death damage is going to come through this time. Fireball log, nothing to distract that Lumberjack. Expo played, Tesla played too.
Yeah, but the Rage is providing so much firepower. The rocket does come and misses the Lumberjack. 2, 3, 4, 5.
Absolute town, and when he dies, he's just going to rage up that balloon. This is it. Ponos take it. Ponos take game 3, and it was a nice choice I could see what they were planning to do, but unfortunately, Ponos were just one step ahead with that graveyard, double lumberjack play.
Double graveyard? You mean double
Sorry,
balloon?
Double balloon, double lumberjack play. Graveyard lumberjack would be a terrible matchup. 2-1 then in the way of Rad and Reiki. They took to the skies, but not the way that Light and Yuya wanted them to do. Double Expo not coming out clutch this time.
Yeah, one lumberjack could have been okay, I think. But double lumberjack providing the second rage and balloons popping back and forth gave no room for Kicks to actually have a great defense.
Yeah, and I mean, even if that rocket connected into the lumberjack, how are they stopping the second balloon? They're not, basically. They were in terrible position. When you have to play an Expo into a balloon to stop it from getting to your tower, you are in an awful spot.
If they brought lava, yes,
into V2,
because
into V2.
it's slower. It's much slower. Tesla will do much more damage. It will have all the time. But with just balloon and raged up balloon, Tesla, it's not really... Tesla can do some damage, but it actually provided too much. And the Expo going down way too quick. Your 6 elixirs just popped.
Well, there was the one part where they put the Expo down, it starts to drag the balloon, and then they put the Tesla right underneath the balloon, and it caused it to instantly delete. Do you think if they put the Tesla the opposite side, so that the balloon has to go through the Expo first into the Tesla, that would have been a slightly better defense?
Or even towards the center, not just towards the right.
Yeah.
It could have been a little bit better, but when you are in that panic mode, you see the opponent's rage on your side.
Ponos currently have 3 of the top 5 players, and Yakatori, a player that we were not expecting to be as good as he is at 1v1 so far, right now, is currently #1 in the league over KK, over Mugi, over Elsiop. And we're getting an old school battle as Benzer is going to come up against KK to start off this King of the Hill.
Benzer versus KK, one of the best 1v1 matchup, King of the Hill matchup we can have. And KK has been very solid, having lots of bait decks throughout. Benzer, even though he had some clutch moments, was not able to bring that many wins this season.
Currently 7-7 in King of the Hill, 1-1 in 1v1 set score. So you're right, he hasn't had the greatest season, and his wins generally come in sweeps. He swept TTG, he swept Talon and got 1 win against Wonga. But then everything else, every other time he comes out is a loss. So he just needs to find a way to string together a set of wins, starting with KK, then probably going Tengod, I'd say today, like give Tengod another shot, then probably Mugi to finish it off, because Ponos do not want to lose. They want to continue this absolutely dominant streak that they have. I think losing to Nova was a bit of the eye opener for them.
Yeah, but they were willing to experience just
experiment.
Experience Nova.
They wanted to experience what it was like to lose. You know, if you always win, you're going to get a bit shaken up. But yeah, experiencing a loss would definitely be difficult for Ponos. But anyway, KK in red at the top against Benzer in blue at the bottom. Cage against the Heel Spirit with the Bar Barrel. What are you thinking?
2 hits.
RGs. Graveyard on the side of Benzer.
Ram. Not as high with the Fisherman now. And for Benzer, may just be the old graveyard.
Yeah, could be lightning does come down though. That's going to make it a little bit trickier.
Even if they don't reach, still the lightning damage did go into the tower.
Graveyard does come down for Benzer. Princess Tower is locking into those skeletons. A few there getting a runaway hit, and the Brawler getting a big, meaty green punch into that tower, giving Benzer a little bit of extra damage there, but he is pretty down on Elixir trying to defend this.
I think
The
this
Knight
is
will...
heavier RG push from KK. And Benzer would love to have some exciting tornadoes.
There is the RG played at the back for KK. Can Benzer exploit this ever so slightly?
Oh, the connection. Yeah, so KK has to reset. Not too happy about it because that E is going in front.
Comes down, doesn't take the cage, which is what KK kind of wanted there. One hit does come through though, and here is a graveyard. There's a lot there, but unfortunately the cage was not played early enough. The Barbarian did tank a couple of hits here. Poison comes down. Looks like the Brawler is going to get another punch in. And the Knight to just make things worse for KK. Is Benzer going to secure this victory? There are 30 seconds left in regular time.
And Benzer pushing it hard on his opponent. The Baby Dragon, that Barbaro not really catching anything. Even the Heal Spirit just to catch any of the skeletons.
Poison, that's a pretty healthy Baby Dragon on the side of Benzer. It's not going to matter too much, as it is going to go down anyway. Another RG lead at the back. Is this another exploitable window on the side of Benzer? I think it is. So Knight is up front. It's not going to be able to distract the Princess Tower this time round, as the cage was in the way. This time, some hits sneaking through.
This time much better defense with maybe 1 or 2 skeleton hits. RG going down, but KK is willing to load up another.
Is this one going to be able to
and
get
ready
down
with
cage?
that lightning timing?
Roller does go down, but the Baby Dragon and Knight are still very healthy here on the side of Benzer.
Pulling Baby Dragon into his side. But keeps it alive with that E-Wiz spawn.
Expecting the Graveyard to come down there, but it's going to come down here instead. Knight's going to cross the bridge. Fisherman's going to make sure that it's up in the grills of everything here. Poison comes down. All we need is a couple of scratches to come through on the side of Benzer, and that will be tower. Is it going to be enough on that one? No. 51 remain.
Needs about 5 shots from the RG or little more.
Lightning.
Only a single shot, and that's it with the poison tick. Benzer takes game 1 off of Ponos, and KK goes down without a win today.
Wow. Benzer getting a win at the beginning of a set. Is it gonna be the day where Benzer sweeps Ponos?
Maybe usually if Benzer gets a win, it has been a big sweep. Surprising that KK was not able to pull through too much, as he has taken a lot of damage with the first graveyard. As the cycle is indeed heavier for KK, especially with that lightning.
Yeah, and I mean, it didn't help KK at all when these Brawlers keep getting hits into the tower just before they die. Usually you'd want to try and deal with them a little bit nicer than the way KK did, but Benzer put on a lot of pressure. He was just constantly throwing the threat of graveyards forward, and 90% of the time there's a threat, Benzer was there dropping the graveyard on top of everything. It was expertly played graveyards.
And KK's RG, with knowing that lightning is coming down, the cage was put down later, as late as he could, so that his cage would survive, or the Brawler survives through the lightning, or he doesn't even take the damage. So, and KK was trying to have this timing. Do I throw the lightning now or later? Can my RG even connect a shot? Usually got 1 done, but It actually took a while for KK to even start his own RG attack, and by that time he took like 1,000 damage, a little more than 1,000 damage already from the graveyard.
Yeah. There was that one push where the RG started at the back. As soon as it got to the front, normally that RG that you play at the back would be the one to eat the bomb tower or the goblin cage. It didn't. It got frozen out of existence. It got slowed down so that when KK played that second RG at the bridge, that one was met with the cage, and that kind of messes up that whole push, the whole idea, the concept of what KK was trying to do.
Yeah, usually a hard matchup as the tornado is another tool to drag the RG back with the cage. So now here comes, I believe that was Yakitori.
It is indeed Yakitori, the guy who kind of came out of nowhere this season to stake a claim as one of the best 1v1 players in an already stacked Ponos team. Yakitori is currently 7-2 in King of the Hill, including a sweep against Talon and a sweep against Vav. And I think that was just the last 2 games he's played. The only time he lost was the last time these 2 teams met early in the season, and that was against Light, and just before that he did lose to Nuomisa of TTG after beating Boss. That is 7-2. But where have they been hiding Yakitori all season?
Don't know if they have too many talents, and you can only show so many in one day.
All right, so it is going to be Benzer against Yakitori. Log coming out first. This is going to be minor wallbreaker Prince that Benzer played.
Or Expo from Benzer.
Yeah, now that the archers come out, I'm thinking Expo. He doesn't really play Expo, though. I don't think I've ever known him play Expo. Yeah, it is going to be Hog. One hit into tower against the MK.
Is it MK? We're long. MK.
Wallbreakers. MK.
Oh, the brawler on the right.
Oh, Benz is going to take a lot of damage from this.
That's a lot of damage.
MK Balloon. Good game gets called. Bomb tower's already gone. Nothing to distract this. Snowball was used. Archers will take it down. But Benzer is in a world of hurt.
Throwing out good game because this is actually a lot of damage. When Benzer is going to rely on maybe a hit from Hog, mostly from EQ.
He's going to get 2 here. Oh no, 1. I forget how fast the brawler attacks at times.
And Yakitori does more with the brawler.
Here comes a mini push here on the side of Yakitori. Fireball to take out the anti-air. Is that a go sign? The snowball has been used as well. And Benzer has nothing to stop the Skeleton Dragons. He doesn't have Fireball. The archers are out of cycle. The snowball's gone. Has the Hog on the right-hand side, but that's going to be met with a cage. This is a very difficult matchup for the Hog player.
There's another version of what Yakitori has with the Fisherman instead of Cage, which is, again, a pretty difficult deck to go against when you have Hog.
Well, this Hog's going to get into the tower. How much damage is he going to get? 2 hits. Another 2 hits. And I mean, if Yakitori keeps slipping and letting a Hog through occasionally like that, he might get caught unawares.
Yeah, but I think Yakitori wanted to save up and go for this left side push. He had Cage, but he did not play it for his offensive Fireball.
Hog goes down the right-hand side. Another big spell connection for Yakitori. slowing things down. Knight's going to be able to tank. Hog gets nothing in that right-hand side. Brawler's going to get another punch on the tower if there's nothing to stop it. Goblins are there. They're good.
And now Yakitori to find more damage. This is a good pressure with the Skeleton Dragons.
EQ comes in. That's going to be a little bit of extra damage. And just like that, Benzer takes a lead going into the last 60 seconds of the game, the last minute. This Hog is going to get a hit. EQ comes in. Fireball defensive 266. And just like that, Benzer takes a bit of a lead. He's got to defend this well, though.
Ready for that EQ. Second tick.
It is? What? What? What did we just witness?
Yakitori ended up putting down that cage before the Hog push. And one tile to the right, not to the left. So he didn't get the drag into the cage.
Yakitori kind of threw that one away.
I would agree on that. Because he had everything in his hands.
Do you think Yakitori was like a cat playing with a mouse in that and he got a little bit too comfortable? Because it definitely seemed like this did way too much damage. We can all agree on that. This did way too much damage. Then the balloon comes in. 896. That tower just never really ticked down. And here the EQ has the fireball. The Hog gets an extra hit. I mean,
yeah, the cage was put down. It was not in his hand. That's what it was. And even before that, he was taking a lot of spell damage. And Benzer kept on pushing. He kept on pushing the line, trying to have some more damage with Log, Snowball, just over and over again.
If you ever want an advertisement of why you should never leave a game and you should always stick it out if you're like 30 seconds in and you've taken an absolute boatload of damage, that is the poster child. Because I think even Benzer thought it was done. I think Benzer legitimately thought he had lost that game. Because he was so far behind in terms of damage, even in terms of deck choice. I would give every day of the week, I would say Yakitori would win that. 9 times out of 10, Yakitori wins that matchup.
The only thing is that it was stronger last month when the Musketeer was not nerfed.
That is true. Maybe a little bit of an adjustment needs to be made. Maybe Mega Minion instead, which we've seen a little bit. Then Archers also take the place of the Musketeer on the other way. Dark Goblin.
Or Hunter's also okay.
Hunter would have been amazing. Like, if it had been Hunter in this one, hindsight is 2020, right?
Did see some decks, instead of Cage, it's Fisherman, and instead of Musketeer with the Hunter. That combination is still good.
Would have shut this down.
Ah, yeah, very likely.
But
also,
hindsight is 2020. You know, you don't get to see the deck that your opponent brings before because that's cheating.
Of course.
All right. So last person out.
2 down. So is this Mugi time?
Is it Tengod time?
You think so?
I think Tengod. I really do think that Ponos have nothing to lose.
You are the person that said Ponos has learned from the Nova mistake.
I know, but I want Tengod.
They have to have Mugi here.
Yeah, but I want Tengod. I know what I said before. I know that I said Ponos shouldn't be taking the foot off the gas because they learned the last time they did that. But I want to see Tengod. Ah, it's Mugi. Everyone pack it up. This is the worst possible matchup we could ever have. Benzer versus Mugi. Ah, it's absolutely awful. No, legitimately, this should be a matchup. This should be absolutely explosive between these two. Benzer on a run. Remember, Benzer usually gets a sweep if he wins more than one. But Mugi is... Look at that. He's basically an assassin. Basically an assassin. He has come to end Benzer's career right tonight. Mugi coming out this season is 10-5 in King of the Hill. And also in 1v1 sets, he is 4-0. The guy just does not lose. Benzer, on the other hand, 7 and 7. Now would be 9 and 7. So we'll see if Benzer can finish this one out.
Will take some time. If we'll still go into set 3 if Benzer wins here.
Yeah, the 1v1 set is upon us if Benzer completes the sweep of Ponos. I'd expect to see Mugi come out there as much as I would like to see Tengod or even Reiki come out. But anyway, Benzer against Mugi. Benzer looking to complete the sweep. Mugi looking to start the reverse sweep. We'll find out what's going to happen here. Benzer's already given up. White
That's
flag.
a fake sign. Oh, motor deck.
Now Mugi did this yesterday against Expo Master.
Motor Miner or Motor Spear Goblins?
So, alright.
And Benzer with minions. Okay, Motor Miner. Oh, are we back on Sparky?
Maybe. So Mugi's now doing a thing where when he goes against his opponent, he will play their signature deck. We saw yesterday against Expo Master, he brought Expo.
I think Mugi's just trying to play a lot more decks.
Well, I mean, he has already played nearly everything in the game. What more is there? Bats come in. Is there a zap? There is. Missing one bat. Oh, he missed the one bat, so unfortunately he doesn't get the drop there. And he's taking quite a lot of damage from this mortar. But again, if he's learned his lesson from playing against Yakitori, there is no way he can give up here. He can still bring home the bacon.
But this is incredibly hard as he's lacking the ground defense with this many air units.
It's going to be Lava Loon then for Benzer.
And the left side is going to be gone with another shot. Now, Miner just...
Mortar does finish the tower. Is Mugi going to use a mortar here defensively? Against one. If there's going to be a mortar in the center, it would have been played now. What is Mugi waiting for? There it is, going to drag it back.
Waiting for that time, and then snowball death bats.
No need. It's dealt with the skeletons underneath, pulling those pups back like that. Benzer knows it is done here.
Minor bats.
What can Benzer do possibly in this push? If his last card is freeze, it's not going to be, obviously it's going to be both. But if it was, that would be the only opportunity I could see happening.
Yeah,
unless this mortar doesn't pull the balloon. It does at the last minute.
It will. It's not towards the left. Having the zap just to get some more, but that snowball will bring it towards that musketeer and the remaining Princess Towers. 10 seconds left. Benzer will not be able to get that 3 in a row sweep. Now Mugi is here for Ponos to strike back against kicks.
So that zap actually could have given Benzer the win if it wasn't for the snowball, because the zap reset the musketeer onto a pup. It was locked onto the balloon, the zap comes in, the musketeer retargets to a pup. It was the one move, it was the one way out of 14 million different realities that Benzer could have got the victory, and unfortunately Mugi controls the time stone and managed to see through it completely.
And the reason why Benzer couldn't really play the Barbs is also because of that Valkyrie. It would just give more lead to Mugi if he played that Barbarians.
So I think it's this one. No, it's not this one. Just imagine if Benzer would have got rid of that one bat at the beginning. That one bat, he probably would have got a drop and would have at least pushed a little bit harder. I mean, so many what ifs in that match, because that was matchup win for Mugi, but also regardless of what Mugi plays, it always seems to be a matchup victory for him, because Mugi's a monster.
Yeah, Boogie's a monster.
All right, who's up next then? Are you expecting Ice Law to come out now?
Was Ice Law? I remember Ice Law being first yesterday.
Yes,
Am
he
I
was.
correct? I imagine Light and Ice Law. I have to put Light in there because he's been having a season. Like he will at least pull off a win, maybe more.
And he only needs one. It only needs to beat Mugi one time to take the victory in the King of the Hill. And then we do go to that 1v1 set. Oh.
Yeah, I would imagine Light and then Ice Law. That should be the active roster for even going into the playoff, unless something else is happening within the team. Just from the results that we see from a lot of these matches.
Yeah, and just to go over, if Kicks lose today, there is still a chance, an outside chance, that they finish second. But it would require WEDGM to lose to Nova, and then it comes down to set differences. It comes down to set difference. If Nova lose to WEDGM, Kicks go 1-1 in their last 2 remaining games. That's today and tomorrow. They can finish second on set differences only.
Okay, Kicks, they need to win everything.
They just need to win everything, and that would make life easier because then regardless of what happens, Nova would need to... Hold on.
Yeah, it takes time, guys, when you age.
So
it takes time to process.
Shut up. I'm not that old. So you're right. If Kicks win all their games and Nova loses WEDGM, it is done. It is Kicks second.
Oh, and Yuya.
Won't find that out until the end of tomorrow. Yuya coming in the 4th game between Kicks and Ponos.
And we were on the screen for a longer duration of time, and we have players in the room because Kicks called for a timeout.
Probably preparing Yuya to go against Mugi, I would assume. Just being like, hey, this is what you need to play. You know him better than we do. Like, I assume Yuya knows Mugi very well. The Japanese scene is very, very closely tight-knit. They all practice against each other. They all know each other.
Yes, another scene with very many talented players.
And one of the things about smaller countries like Japan, in terms of area size, is that your player base is very concentrated. They're going to find it easier to travel to each other if they were able to travel. Whereas, you know, when you have something like America where you can travel from one coast to the other, it is real difficult. Same in China. If you travel one to the other, the scene is kind of diluted across many areas. But in Japan, that scene is tight. Same as Korea. It's a very tight-knit community. So the Japanese players, they all do know each other. Mugi was probably known to these guys before he was eligible for CRO.
Maybe ever since Mugi started playing the game.
Yeah, they just knew. They looked at him. They saw him play when he was a Bronze League scrub. Back when he was the, Wooden League, opening his first wooden chest. Ponos took interest in the guy on top of your screen, Mugi, because he is an absolute monster. Yuya in blue at the bottom is his challenger.
Expo.
Rival countrymen going against each other here.
Ice balloon. Do you feel anything else? It's been a long time, so I would have to dig this one up for a second.
Could be a classic Hog Rider.
The balloon miner with the ice golem. It is usually with the snowball.
Magic Archer. Yuya making the correct decision there to just poison that boy off the board. Mrs. Skeleton cycled at the back.
Okay. Holding the other 3 cards.
Mini P.E.K.K.A. Huh. Okay, Cage is down. That's going to distract things long enough. Brawler comes out of that unscathed. Magic Archer is going to see to that, though. Skeletons to distract. And it is Royal Hogs on Mugi's side. And what does Yuya have? He doesn't have a fireball, so he's going to find it difficult to deal with this. As time goes on, Snowball there to bring the Magic Archer into Princess Tower range, but does take 2 incidental shots.
Still 2 hits plus a lot of Royal Hog damage.
I feel like Yuya is in an impossible situation right now to try and win this. Unless... No. I was thinking unless it's MK, but it's obviously Graveyard.
It's not... Nothing's impossible, but a lot of tools are being shut down by Mugi. Even the Fisherman goes pretty much single-handedly down against the mini P.E.K.K.A.
This is something. Snowball to push everything back. Only takes the 1 hit. Can he load up another push? Yuya needs another Graveyard here. He needs to get one that actually does a lot of damage to claw himself back into this game. He's currently 500 down. Up a little bit in Elixir, so it isn't completely out of the realm of possibilities. I was saying it was difficult. Now it looks like he might be able to do it.
Mini P.E.K.K.A. off to the right with the Hogs.
Second Cage there to just distract the Hogs. No Graveyard coming down.
I thought this was another chance for Yuya to have the Graveyard. Might have thought that his HP on the Knight and the Baby Dragon was a little too low.
Hogs and a mini P.E.K.K.A. coming down. Snowball there separates them out a little bit. A few more hits come through. Cage to distract mini P.E.K.K.A.
And still the Magic Archer able to do a lot of damage. Not enough to bring the Knight and the other down.
I feel like Yuya just is a bit too apprehensive on his Graveyard timings here. I don't blame him because he needs to put in so much to defend here, but surely on the left-hand side now.
I think Yuya's thinking that the moment I put down Graveyard, Mugi's going to strike with the Royal Hogs.
There's the Royal Hogs on the right-hand side. Cage to draw them in. No P.E.K.K.A., no mini P.E.K.K.A. with them this time though. That's nicely dealt with, but that tower is getting very low. And deciding to use the Fisherman here. It's going to get mini P.E.K.K.A. out. That mini P.E.K.K.A. is in a very dangerous position though. Graveyard getting a little bit of damage in.
And Hunter doing some work. About 400 off. Really keep putting the pressure with the Royal Hogs. Fireball off to the center.
One more hit. Poison comes down. The Baby Dragon's distracted by the Magic Archer, who's going to easily clean up the rest of that fireball from Mugi. It's looking like Mugi's going to do it. Time is up. And Mugi defeats Yuya here. We're going to game 5. Mugi doesn't even look phased right there. So he has a chance now to close it up for Panos and finish this up in 2 sets. Mugi takes game 4.
What can we say?
Mugi being Mugi. Ice Spirit Royal Hogs. It's almost like he knew that Yuya was going Graveyard.
Ice Golem, with the Ice Golem, it's incredibly cheap and allows the Magic Archer to survive when you take that many right next to him. It also is a great tool to get the cage out so the brawler starts walking. That would actually throw off the Graveyard timing for Yuya, where he's always timing those cage to be open to 15 seconds, and then to have a massive Graveyard push. But the Magic Archer hits, gets the damage to the cage, sort of, it throws off the exact match when it's supposed to have the graveyard pop up when the brawler is just about to cross the bridge.
So I was just looking here. That is the second time this season that Yuya has played Graveyard. The first time was last week against Kensameshi. Oh, last week? Yesterday. Against Kensameshi. How did he know a Graveyard would be played? Because the deck he played was incredibly strong against the Graveyard.
I think Boogie was confident against many other decks, not just Graveyard. I mean, even if it's RG, the cycle for the Royal Hogs are so much faster, especially with that pairing. Against RG, you have the Mini P.E.K.K.A, so that's also really good. Against Hogs, Mini P.E.K.K.A's not bad. A lot of those single target units. That's what's the reason why we see Lightning even coming in for 1v1 now. With having less Mini P.E.K.K.As, that seemed to be the spell. But why not just go back to like a couple months ago, about 4 or 5 months ago, and bring back that little baby?
Which little baby?
The Mini P.E.K.K.A. The Pancake Boy.
Like, Mini P.E.K.K.A was so prevalent, and then it just dropped off the scene, and now it's making a comeback a little bit. In some classically structured decks, like Ice Golem, anything with an Ice Golem in now, I would say, is classically structured.
Yes, I would say, but this is a combo that we haven't seen too much.
Okay, Light against Mugi.
Light has to hold it down.
The last time these two players met, Light beat Mugi. Can he do it again today? When they played last time, I'm going to try and find if I can see the exact matchup. Mugi was playing Lava Loon, and Mugi was playing, Light was playing Graveyard with the Zappies with the Goblin Cage. So we'll see we'll see what they're going to bring this time round. Light against Mugi.
As it is near impossible to predict what Mugi's going to play.
I don't think there has been one time he played the same deck twice, and that was against Nuamisi. And then he also did it against Jack as well. Hoggy Q there.
Mugi looking to close the doors for kicks, advancing into second place. As for Ponos, again, the last match for the regular season.
Light, though, looking to drag us to a best of 3. We'll see how this one is gonna play out.
As we may have some technical delay for getting into the match.
Well,
we expected on screen to pop off. Here we go.
Miner straight out the gate. He was just going to make sure there is no damage done here.
So, back to Motor Miner. No, not exactly with that Ice Wizard now.
To the Valkyrie. Lava Hound.
Can also be the Wall Breaker deck that's been going around. Yeah, the Wall Breaker Miner.
Fortunately, these Wall Breakers are not going to get into the tower for Mugi in a Graveyard. That's very aggressive from Light, and it might just work here. The Skeletons are getting absolutely insane amount of damage. Poison comes down as well, but I think he overcommitted a little bit with the poison, did Light, and does eat the Wall Breakers.
But ends up activating the King Tower, so is it worth? I think it's worth for what Mugi had, because he already threw down the miner on the left. With the tools that he had in his hand, I think that was the best play.
Mugi orchestrated, right, with the tornado?
Yes, he did. Getting the splash from the Baby Dragon, so... And knowing how defensive and how near perfect Mugi can be. Activating the King Tower might have done it.
But I mean, Light is that type of player too. Light can be patient. Sometimes his youth overtakes him a little bit and he does try to push things that he probably shouldn't. Like that poison, I would say, was a little bit of an overextension, but it doesn't mean it is impossible.
Will be up to the catch onto the miner. It's going to be crucial for Light.
Light can play defensive and just, I was going to say just cycle out, but with the rocket, that's not going to be possible anymore. As Mugi can play very quick catch up. So expect to see a graveyard here. Poison does come down. That is going to catch the skeletons. And the bomb tower.
Goblins are gone. Ice Spirit has to come down, but with the help of the King Tower, not as bad as we thought. Even with the goblins gone onto poison. Here comes the miner with the wall breaking combination.
Cage has to be played last minute. We're going to see a graveyard here to push. Nope. Okay. Goblins.
Yeah, no way Light starts pushing now on the left. And even he's spending those goblins. He has activated the King Tower.
Probably would have been best if he didn't do that, but that's well defended there. But the miner on that bottom left tower is going to get a ton of damage, and that kind of equals everything up. 6-9-2 against 5-9-3. This is going down to the wire here.
And Mugi has a speed with miner and the rocket. Also
the miner, the wall breakers.
The wall breakers. Oh, both of them connect. That's game for Mugi. 3 in a row, and Ponos is going to put another victory and kicks their dreams up. Oh, they're in the playoff. Can't get second place anymore.
No, they can. They can still get second place. If Nova lose to WEDGM, it will come down to set score. Being 0-2 now, though, might make that
set differences
a little bit more difficult. Actually, I think that makes it impossible because... Oh, I don't know. I think it does make it impossible.
I think it comes down to set differences. Let's go do some studying today.
So that graveyard, that poison there, I think really did overextend Light ever so slightly, but he did manage to get back into it. Not catching that miner was big, and this cage not catching the wall breakers was even bigger. Mugi with a reverse sweep. Another 3 victories under his cap. That puts him at an ungodly, wait, he has a whole page to himself. An ungodly 13-5 in the season.
And from my calculations, I had Kicks would come into set differential if he wins, if they win the match tomorrow, but because they just lost 0-2, I think it's even harder now, or near impossible for them to get second place.
The most that can happen is Nova lose 2-0. They'll be on 3 set difference. Kicks are currently -1, and the best they can do is go up to 1. So yeah, I think Kicks cannot make it now as they lost 0-2. I'd need to double check some things, but I believe that is how it stands.
But Mugi shows another godlike moment here, as we were thinking, was that enough with the activation? Taking about 1,200 with just 1 graveyard, and that he makes it work.
Every time you think you solve Mugi, that you think you understand just how good he is, he comes out and does that. Like, he made Kicks, who were in a battle for second place, he made them look like chump change. After Benzer ripped through the first 2 players, Benzer rips through KK, rips through Yakitori, Mugi manhandled Benzer, then dismantled Yuya. And against Light, I mean...
I'm just going to close my page.
It was just over before it began. I'm just outraged.
Collect everything. And with that last match of Ponos, overall, you think it's possible for them to just take the trophy here.
I just give him the trophy now. Why do we need the playoffs? Just give him the trophy. The way they're playing right now is absolutely phenomenal. Just to recap today's results, WEDGM did go out 0-2 to Talon. TTG lose 1-2 to Team Timing, and that ended their run as well. And Kix and Ponos, as you just saw, ended 0-2. I think this is the table that we're expecting to see for the rest of the season. I don't think much is going to move around here. WEDGM, after one loss, though, dropped from like 3rd to 5th. Oh, 4th to 5th. I thought they were a little bit higher.
And they have one more. And they can't really go lower than this. Oh, they technically can with Fob Gaming. Tomorrow, the last day of the regular season, guys. Kix team versus TTG. It's like a match. Fob Gaming versus Talon. And that last match, China versus China, Nova Esports versus WEDG.
And it would have had so much riding on it had Kix won today. There'd have been a lot. If Kix and WEDGM won today, that last match of the season, Nova versus WEDGM, would have been absolutely off the hook.
But still not first place decider because Ponos is already going there.
Ponos were there a year ago, man. I feel like they were just there so long ago.
They didn't even have Moogie back
then. They did.
did.
Moogie, don't forget, is an interdimensional time traveler. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be here for the last day of the regular season tomorrow. Come back, watch us again, because there's going to be a little bit of placement changes, possibly. Seedings do matter going into that playoff tournament. So we will be back probably next week.
Not next week. We take a week break.
We'll be back
and
tomorrow.
And then we have playoff. But we come back tomorrow. Okay. What a closing.